Alright, how are we all? Oops, testing, testing. Yep, mic is working, good. Why is it so blue? But you don't like the blue? Because Destiny got into Nick Land recently, so... Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. What else we got we can do? That's barely discernible from the blue. There's that. It's an orange. We had the orange last time. It's more pronounced if I turn this off. What do I have? Got pink. Got yellow. The yellow's kind of sickly. Orange is okay. I like the red, personally. This is my favorite. Just got here from Brooks talking about games. Is he rated yet? He's probably going to come on to join us, actually, when we get into... Oh, speak of the devil. Welcome, Merlin viewers. We're gonna watch some potentially, probably very bad Nick Land takes. I am quite certain I'm not competent to judge a Nick Land take, except for the fact that I am competent to judge a Nietzsche take. And I guarantee you, they're gonna get that wrong. Guarantee you. Not a chance in hell are they gonna get that right. Hang on, let's see here. Is that the right setting? There we go. That's a little less glaring. I forgot that the power reset recently, which made it all just boom. Ooh, Nietzsche. Don't get too excited. It's Nietzsche by way of Nick Land. So if it's early Nick Land, it could be really good. If it's late Nick Land, as in current Nick Land, it's going to be one of the worst things ever. Who's Nick Land? The mortal enemy of Nick C. The camera looks higher quality? No, I just have better lighting. And by better lighting, I mean I found some really cheap lighting solutions online. I've got those running now. What about Nick Air? Nick Air is right out. Nick Air is right out. How much Cruelty Squad are we going to reference with this one? You know, I should have named this stream something like Cruelty Squad related. In fact... There we go. Nick Fire was better. Now you're mixing your categories here. That's an element, not a geographical feature. Unless you're talking about the Last Airbender, in which case, get out. Get out. Looking dashing today, Prez? That's what happens when you don't sleep for 4 days, apparently. You know, for the algo, you should put who you were talking about? No, I don't think so. We aren't for the algo. We are for the elect, okay? We aren't a channel for the normies. By the way, in case anyone's ever, like, considering buying a copy of Fanged Numina, which is the only affordable book by Nick Land that you can currently get that is worth looking at, just get a digital copy. Because, I kind of hate this thing. It's not that it's cheaply produced, like, it's actually fine. It's just that it's tiny. It's tiny and it's thick. It's like the worst of both worlds. It's like when I saw the listing for this, I assumed it was going to be like this size, which would make sense. But just for perspective, this is standard, like, standard book size, right? Standard academic book size. Most academic books are this scale. It's like tiny. It's tiny, but it's super thick. And the problem with being tiny and super thick is that even though the binding, to their great credit, is sewn. Look at that. Look at those signatures. Can that focus? Look at those beautiful signatures. This is actually a sewn binding. Because it's so thick and so short, you'll crack the spine anyway, so it'll look awful if you read it with any, like... If you read it normally, bluntly, I have to, like, be super gentle with it. This has some interesting essays in it. I don't like a lot of Nick Land stuff. There's a couple things in here that I do like, largely for fun. Like, Meltdown is a fun read. It's just fun. I wouldn't say I get anything out of it per se, but it's fun. You can really see the Gibson influence there. Like, if you've read Neuromancer or anything like that, very much like that. Yeah, I hate Urbanomics' publishing style, I guess. But that and The Thirst for Annihilation. Those are the only Nick Land books worth getting. The Thirst for Annihilation book you cannot get under $100 used. It's out of print. It was published by Routledge. Everything else is garbage. He did a lot of meth, and he got his brain completely broken, and he started writing at a Moldbug level. He started writing at a Curtis Yarvin level, and he's got a book called The Dark Enlightenment, which if you read, I am actually personally half convinced that Moldbug ghost wrote it, because it reads like Moldbug, and it's super hyper fixated on Moldbug, but it's really bad. It's really bad. I tried reading it on stream once, and it was embarrassing. It was a we did that as a theory meter thing back when we were doing the theory meter. We do pre-prepared theory videos now. But it's really bad. Is Nickland just what Rudyard would look like if he did something before the ayahuasca? No, Nickland was actually really promising. Nickland's early stuff is actually really interesting. It's good. Like, The Thirst for Annihilation, Nietzsche and Bataille and Virulent Nihilism, I think that's the subtitle, is really good. I've read like a solid third of it. It gets bad towards the end. His books are shorter than they look because he fills them with weird symbolic nonsense. But... yeah. Yeah. Anywho, before we get into that, we got some Vosch hate to do, okay? Mandatory. For the algorithm, for my editors, for the Sunday Dark channel. Okay, we're gonna do some Vosch mockery, because it's easy. We're giving Brooks some time before he wants to show up. Is President Tucker Carlson in our future? This was sent to me a couple days ago. Apparently Vosch has been on like an overt elitist binge, which is, you know, appropriate given the fact that, you know, he's sort of been tepidly tipping his toes into Epstein water for a little while, at least in terms of the content he hoards on his work computer. I'm sorry, like, There is no online left as such. It is entirely bought out. It is entirely controlled by charlatans. There is no left online. It is a media space. It is entirely consumed by capital. Every single person will disappoint you. People who watch this guy are morons. Because he's a moron. However, America produces a lot of morons, and they can be forgiven for being confused. Because they see so many people watching these guys who think, oh, they must have something to say. What they forget, though, is that American education system is garbage, and Americans are chauvinistic nutballs, or at the very least, disproportionately so. There are a lot of good Americans. They aren't a majority. Anywho.
It's about Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's not running for president. Grifters love to threaten to run for president or threaten lawsuits because it gets hype. Nothing's going to happen. Hassan was saying that Tucker would win if he ran as anti-Israel. Oh, God.
Tucker Carlson runs on an anti-Israel platform in 2028, and the Democrats put forward a pro-liberal Zionist, pro-defending America's military might candidate. Tucker Carlson wins by Ronald Reagan numbers, not only by winning over the MAGA crowd, which he has complete control over, in my opinion, but also on top of that, a lot of independents and maybe even some. Also,
very quickly, he's leeching off Hassan Nabi too. Give him a little bit. I think Hassan will leech off Vosch back. I'm serious. Just give it a bit. Give it a bit. And this isn't even shade to Hassan. Just you know these people by their works, right? New rule, no talking about Felix in the chat, no talking about Felix in the server. Felix has an open invitation to call in anytime he wants. His girlfriend came into my server earlier and was posting gross images, again, to like harass people in my server. I'm not playing this game anymore. You're not getting a scheduled event. You, however, can come in anytime you want. Just DM me on Discord, tell me you want to talk, and I'll pop you in. I will break off anything I am currently doing to give you space to talk. Otherwise, I don't want to hear from you. All right, here we go.
Liberals. The Democratic Party is done. The next wave of fascism is here. Like the more accelerated version of fascism is here. He actually does, unironically, put the mass deportations regime in place.
Partial agree. A Tucker Carlson running on a principled anti-Israel, pro-isolationist platform against somebody like Jesus, I don't know, Shapiro or Newsom or whatever on the Democratic ticket, he might win. I do not think he would actually do fascism, though. The problem, again...
Why?
I think that implementing 1930s-style fascism today is about as possible as implementing 1930s-style Soviet socialism.
What do you think that means? Vosch, what do you think? What does that mean to you exactly? Is it because the suits are out of fashion? Why do you think so? They're literally rounding up. They're targeting non-white people in America, not even really caring if they're American citizens or not. Not even caring if they're American allies or not, if they're there legally. They're putting them into camps, and people are now dying in the camps. They're sending them away to prison complexes in other countries without due process. They're waging wars of aggression everywhere. What do you mean? Why do you think so? What specifically about 1930s fascism do you have in mind? Is it the fact that it was in black and white? Because that was just the cameras.
In the sense that it can't be done. Tucker
Why not?
Carlson is and always has been a shameless grifter. He would immediately cuck out a business interest the nanosecond that he won.
Does he know about the Nazis? Like, you realize they weren't... The Nazis being socialists is like a right-wing thing, right? That's a meme. That's what morons do online to attack lefties. They go, did you know that the National Socialists had socialists in their name? Therefore, they were communists. Like, is that the level we're operating at?
Like, he would do the biggest rug pull. He would make the Trump rug pull look like coherent and easy to anticipate. You know, for the people who voted for him, it would be like instantly, oh, sorry, billionaires, it's your administration now. Please continue raping the American public. Dog, when he worked at Fox News, he literally said, like, he's Murdoch. Thank you, Murdoch.
That's what I'm afraid of.
He says he's
He said he's Murdoch? What?
running against me for
I think I missed context here. I think he's answering another question.
president. I almost want to run for president just to debate
He won't
Ted
run,
Cruz because I think
Why don't you think so? I mean, I wouldn't put money on him running. I just don't know why specifically we're so confident.
it would go about the way it went last time. And for my part, I deeply enjoyed it, which is why I've never tweeted about it. For Ted Cruz,
Tucker Carlson versus Gavin Newsom is
Why are you so sure he won't run? He has no interest in being a politician. I promise you, he has none. It's not going
How do you know?
to happen.
unlimited Tucker Carlson victory, by the way.
I disagree. It feels like comedically incompetent authoritarianism of the 2020s will likely be replaced with highly competent authoritarianism of the 2030s. No, I don't. I've talked about this, and maybe I should talk about it more. But like, I think that the great death.
Why do you need to talk about it more? What have you been reading? You've been reading on this, Vosch? Why do you need to talk about it more? Who asked? You're not an expert in this.
Of this country is going to be the metastasization of the trends that neoliberalism set into place. I don't think fascism has anything to do with it. Fascism is just a desperate effort to make a social case for why corporations need to keep f***ing you in the ass.
But it's not, though. They don't need to make that social case, Vosch. They already have the capital, remember? They don't need to.
But the really big problems, divestment, financialization...
In fact, usually, like, fascism deploys anti-corporate rhetoric, even as it's funded by corporations.
Income inequality, all of those are, like, Reagan and Clinton specials, and they're going to keep on a chugging. It doesn't matter who's president. You could get...
Like, you want to know the difference between, like, genuinely, the difference between German fascism and American fascism? America wasn't defeated in a war. That's the difference. America has absolute military supremacy already. It's not even in question. America has nothing to prove. That's basically the only difference in terms of its military might, in terms of technology, in terms of the conditions. Otherwise, every single aspect is completely compatible. They could even bring back the uniforms. There are people who want that.
Anyone in charge. You could get Biden, Kamala, Gavin Newsom. Hell, maybe even Bernie. Maybe it's too late. Who knows? But I don't think fascism is going to do anything more than provide a temporary justification for the continuation of those policies.
What does that mean? Someone help. What does that even mean? That didn't mean anything. That wasn't a sentence that said anything.
I'm letting you know right now. Everyone's gonna be like, but what about trans people? Okay, they're gonna be like, but Gavin Newsom is like pro-gay. Gavin Newsom will signal that he's like also in favor of, limiting the pro-trans sentiment from his side because he wants to appeal to the mythical moderate center. Oof, Tucker Carlson's like, you're Israel first. You're an attack dog. You're a lapdog for Israel. I can't even tell what your positions are. One day you say Israel's an apartheid. You get a boss call.
That's actually a pretty good impression.
From all of the Israel lobbyists.
Have you reacted to the digital gnosis drama? Yeah, there's a segment of it on, I think it was 2 streams ago. There's a segment of it on the President Sunday Dark channel. It's linked at the bottom of the homepage.
Next day, you come out and you say, actually, Israel's not an apartheid. Americans need someone who actually can stand on moral principles. And as a Christian, I think genocide is unconscionable. What's going on? You see, Tucker, you're being quite anti-Semitic. No, I love Jews. I love Jews. I can't stand what Israel has done to my Jewish friends. What's going on? Ronald Reagan victory condition, okay? Spoiler alert. Gavin Newsom doesn't win that battle. Tucker Carlson wins that battle.
Everybody knows the only reason we're having this war is because Israel wants it. This is their last chance, they believe. This presidency is the last presidency where they're going to have unequivocal...
I get comments all the time saying Vosch wannabe. I really don't want to. I really don't want to be Vosch. I really don't want to be an ephebophile, pardon me, who sexually harasses people in DMs, has my mods silence them afterwards, and then spends my life pretending to know things I haven't read about at all. I really don't want to be that guy. And it's the voice. It's the voice. It's 100% the voice. I'm sorry. Other people have a similar voice. I don't think my voice is that similar. It's just deeper. I don't know what to tell you.
Bipartisan support.
This is why I've been trying to urge Democrats, both behind closed doors and publicly, to take a stronger stance against Israel. Okay? You cannot have a guy like Tucker Carlson lead the conversation on Israel. The Democrats, as a national party, have to universally oppose Israel.
Okay, we got a bit of a problem there, Bucko, because unfortunately they're also almost universally being paid by Israel.
If you don't do that, a guy like Tucker Carlson, who has been leading the conversation for normies on the issue of Israel, will come out and destroy you.
I wonder if this is true. If you look at some countries like Greece, for example, there are examples out there of like failed and highly corrupt democracies where the leadership is just terminally unpopular and right-wing and pro-Israel, no matter how many people in the country hate Israel. Like 99% of Greeks hate Israel, but the government of Greece is super pro-Israel, and it probably will be after the next election too. I wonder if Israel has become such like a an indispensable or like an irreplaceable bulwark of capital interest.
No. What? He doesn't know how... Oh my god, man. What does Israel produce, Vosch? What do you mean capital interest? What are you talking about? No. It's because they get a tremendous amount of money from America. They use that tremendous amount of money from America to put money back into America to get American politicians to vote to put more money back into Israel. And if they don't vote to put more money back into Israel, then Israel puts money into their opponents. That's how it works. It's not because Israel is so integral to capitalism. It's because they've captured a massive flow of the biggest capital stream in world history. That's why. This is not complicated. How are you? What do you think you're saying? What do you think you're saying? I'm sorry. Is Israel like? Is Israel Arrakis? Do they have the spice?
Like a front for it that like America could never break free of it no matter what. Or a right winger never could, because Tucker Carlson will always be.
You have Democrats who can't.
Subservient to
you have liberal like super lib like sort of actual middle of the road Democrats in Canada who can't.
Capital interests. Anybody who thinks otherwise, you're the biggest rube in the fucking world. If you
I guess I'm the biggest rube in the fucking world then. I don't know what to tell you.
really think this guy who was licking Murdoch's asshole 24/7 for decades and only broke away when he could create like a popular he was let go, and then he was like, okay, now I'll try being a Nazi for a bit. And
yeah, those aren't the same thing, Vosch. You just contradicted yourself. You're going to correct yourself, or is going to pretend that you didn't just say the exact opposite thing first?
now he's doing the whole like maverick out there
This
criticizing.
isn't a coherent thought. Like, I don't know why he just... It's streamers, political streamers especially, do this thing where they will maintain the flow of a statement at all costs, even if the statement has spiraled off into complete incoherence. Like, he's not saying anything anymore, but it's just really important that he says nothing in a way that sounds like he intended it. And people eat this up because nobody's paying attention, or because this is a giant honeypot for the most illiterate, ressentiment-fueled audiences on Earth at this point.
The right from the right shit. If you think that he would not immediately fold
Apparently he was really bad in the Kolinsky talk. I might look at that.
to capital interests, you're completely delusional. There's not a genuine bone.
They won't fold to What do you mean? What do you think capital interests are? Capital interests. They won't fold to capital interests. This word seems like a bit of a black box. I don't think he understands what he's saying by it. I think it just fills in space. It's not that capital interests, quote unquote, means anything, for Vosch at least. He's just able to say, oh, it's because of capitalism. What do you mean because of capitalism? Can you elaborate? Oh, because of capital interests. And now it has the appearance of him giving a mechanistic explanation of the relations at play, but he hasn't. He's just said, oh, well, this one black box is actually the cause of several smaller black boxes. And these are several smaller black boxes too. And at no point do we actually have an explanation of, okay, but what does that mean though? Like, in concrete terms, you're explaining this to a space alien. What is actually going on? What pieces are moving? What do the pieces do? What are they for?
In this man's body. Yeah, he's just an evil grifter. Well, Greece is still having financial issues, so they can't piss off Western capital. My brother in Christ, we're having financial issues. It's not like the American government could survive mass divestment from capital. I know it'd be harder because we're...
If Tucker Carlson is a grifter, then so is Vosch, 100%. They do the exact same thing. They fundamentally do the exact same thing. Not even in alternative directions. Vosch essentially advocates for right-wing attitudes with respect to drug use, mental illness, trans identities, identity politics generally. He has no understanding of any of these things that appear to be, you know, central to leftist discourse. He brushes on them very casually without knowing what he's talking about. And he ends up essentially putting forward authoritarian talking points in the end. And the only difference is that ostensibly this is being done in favor of oppressed groups, except they aren't, because it's just talk. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. He'll give bubkiss arguments, shame people left, right, and center, call people subhuman, use his position to harass people and then silence them afterwards. But then he'll say, oh, but I'm doing this for trans people. It's like, fuck off. No, you're not.
America, but like, you know, we're already... like we're kind of teetering right now. Statistically speaking, the municipal sewage piping underneath your house is between 4 and 12 weeks away from exploding and flooding your basement. Okay, there's no... I think Hassan disagrees that Tucker will...
Okay, why the hell did that not type what I wanted it to? Okay. Kyle Kolinsky, Vosch. I want to see this. You have no idea what Trump just unleashed, featuring Vosch. Oh, we have 4 years ago, confronting Kyle Kolinsky on his old tweets. Kyle Kolinsky...
All right, guys, here...
is really dumb. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to him until he started promoting Professor Zhang, but dumb as a rock. We need... There are smart people out there who could represent leftists. These are not them. These people are dumb. These people are really dumb. But apparently you have no idea what Trump just unleashed. Which is weird, because I feel like we kind of do. I feel like we actually really do know what Trump just unleashed. If you're talking about Iran, which is probably what they're talking about. But I don't think any of these people know anything about Iran, so... here we go.
All right, guys, here to talk about the current Armageddon that we're witnessing is...
You're not witnessing an Armageddon.
Is Vosch. Thanks for joining me, man.
My pleasure. How you doing? Armageddon aside.
I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. But, you know, I feel like the line between personal and real world is becoming, like, less and less as time has gone by. Like, I feel like I almost can't compartmentalize as much as I used to be able to, because the shit is getting too real. You know
you need to drink more water.
what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean. I sprained my ankle recently, and I really
Oh,
felt
no.
the plight of the Iranian people. I'm right along there with them.
So, the first thing I wanted to bring up to you is, from my perspective, what we're witnessing right now, it genuinely seems like a worst case scenario almost across the board. To me, we have like a totally rogue fascist Trump regime that had honestly they've totally lost their minds. I mean, Trump is surrounded by sycophants who feed his worst impulses day in and day out. We have a Democratic leadership in Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries who clearly are not prepared for the moment. They don't actually oppose what's happening here, and so they do the soft process criticism on the war and other things. And so I wanted you to talk me off the ledge a little bit, because when I look at this, I see Armageddon, basically.
No, yeah, it's pretty worst case scenario. I'm very sorry. I don't know if I can do what you want me to do here.
Why do you see Armageddon, Kyle? I don't understand. Why? Why do you see Armageddon? Because a Middle Eastern country got bombed? I got some bad news for you.
I guess I'm very happy that this happened before the United States decided to pick a conflict with a nuclear nation. I'm happy that that we're kind of running up against the wall with Iran, a country that really.
You mean an ally of China and Russia? You're glad that okay, Vosch.
Realistically, and I'm not saying this in a chauvinist way, we shouldn't be struggling here. We have navigated Middle Eastern diplomacy. We've used hard and soft power for decades.
I'm in the unenviable position of having to go, what are you talking about? This isn't Armageddon. This is business as usual. It's just more naked than usual. And by the way, it may not be Armageddon, but just FYI, attacking Iran courts conflict with China and Russia, which do have those.
We've fought Israel's wars. We've done evil in the region. The fact that we're stumbling here tells me that we could have potentially come.
Check your DMs. Why? Oh, we're doing that next. Don't worry. I saw that, Imran. We're doing the Nick Land stuff next.
Across, much worse outcomes if we had done this, if we had applied this strategy in I don't know, Taiwan or with Russia, for example. I guess I'm glad Iran's.
Wait, what? Hang on. Sorry, I need to hear that again.
Used hard and soft power for decades, navigated realistically, and I'm not saying this in a chauvinist way, we shouldn't be struggling here. We have navigated Middle Eastern diplomacy. We've used hard and soft power for decades. We've fought Israel's wars. We've done evil in the region. The fact that we're stumbling here tells me that we could have potentially come across, much worse outcomes.
I don't know what he's saying.
If we had done this, if we had applied this strategy in I don't know, Taiwan or with Russia. For
what do you mean in Taiwan? You mean attacking Taiwan? What? For
example, I guess I'm glad Iran's the one to show us straight, and I'm wishing them luck in teaching us what happens when you touch the hot stove.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens when you touch the hot stove. They overplayed their hand. They thought that Iran would fold. They didn't understand Iran's internal composition because the current administration is stupid. But they were fine previously when they assassinated Iranian officials, when they bombed Iran previously. That's all.
Yeah, I read earlier today that the U.S. government didn't even think that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz.
They didn't think it was on the table.
That's because they thought that the leadership being killed would have cowed whoever replaces them, because they don't understand how Iran works. That's why. Because there's essentially a giant brain drain taking place in the American government because they're persecuting everyone who doesn't tell Trump yes. That's not teaching us not to touch the hot stove. You want to know why the Democrats were mad about Venezuela? It's because Trump laid bare what the fuck Democrats were doing to Venezuela. They were screwing with Venezuela and Maduro for a very long time. This is not new. What's new is Trump went in and said, hey, we're going to steal the president for their oil. Let's get the oil execs together. Let's pillage and plunder Venezuela. Which is a problem for the Democrats because they didn't want people to know that that's what they were doing themselves.
Yeah.
So when I look at that, I know that the Trump regime are idiots. That's a fact to me. But I mean, maybe in my naive mind, I still thought there's going to be some people at the Pentagon or some people who are generals or some people.
They got fired.
At the CIA or something who are like, hey, you know what? You're out over your skis here a little bit. But apparently, no. Apparently, well, maybe they did warn him, but he was just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I think we've lived under rule by expertise for so long that I think we've forgotten for most of human history there was basically no correlation between power and competence.
This is not actually true, by the way, just to be clear. You have not been ruled by experts who know what they're doing and who have a sensitive and nuanced understanding of other countries and how they function. That's what happened with the Mujahideen, if anyone remembers that little episode. That's what happened in a lot of places. The American government has acted like this in a way that was not disclosed to the American public for a very long time. This is not new. This is not new. The American government has been able to incompetently flex its muscle over and over again, but it didn't have any serious political tolls in most cases because Americans just don't care about people in other places. And previous regimes were very good at just not telling Americans that they're doing this to other places. That's all. The mistake Trump made that is unique is not what he's doing to Iran or Venezuela. The mistake that he made that's unique, because just FYI, America has done this to Iran before, also incompetently, which is why the current regime exists. Like, dear God, we're talking about fucking Iran here. The problem is that Trump said that he's doing it, because he's really proud of himself for it. The problem isn't that Trump doesn't understand international affairs. American governments have never understood international affairs. They've just had the capital and the guns to not have to worry about their failures. Plus, the ocean's kind of a nice buffer, too. What changed is that Trump talked about it. He talked about it. He went into social media and he told everyone, hey, guys, I'm undermining democracy in other countries. I'm stealing heads of state. I'm assassinating people I'm in diplomatic conversations with. Which is dumb. But that doesn't teach America anything, because the next administration won't be that dumb. They'll do the same thing with the same mistakes as previous administrations. They just won't tell you about it. Guys, read a fucking book. There's lots of short, easy books on Iran. Easy ones. Go to Wikipedia. Pull a Destiny. Go on Wikipedia. Okay, read about what happened. read about why the Shah got in power. Just go read about that.
A king or a pharaoh or an aristocrat could just be some water-brained inbred fuck who sent people to die for literally no reason. And we've, over the past couple hundred years, I think, for the most
Only if they had a standing army, so that's not necessarily a given.
part, the average president has probably been smarter than the average water-brained aristocrat, but I think we're past those times. The only reason leaders have to be smart is because the consequence of their incompetence is their own death or exile or something similar.
No, not really. Leaders don't have to be smart. Leaders have to play ball with the right people. They don't have to be smart. In fact, not being smart sometimes is an asset.
And we have insulated the American brass from the consequences of their incompetence for so long. Ford pardoning Nixon, Trump being given legal immunity by the Supreme Court. There's no longer any...
Who's we? You didn't decide to do that.
Like Darwinistic reason for them to engage in like that defensive behavior. For them.
What does smart even mean? I don't know. Just reminder, we are being lectured on the smarts that leaders need to have to not run into disaster by a guy who hoards drawn CP on his work computer that he streams from. Just to put this into perspective.
To consider what they're doing for them to check themselves. So yeah, no, we're just getting like the maximally retarded outcome in every juncture.
Just say stupid. Vosch, saying it's retarded just makes you sound like a dumb asshole. Just say it's stupid. Learn English words. Jesus, like it's embarrassing.
So we have, here's what I'm forecasting, and I don't really think I'm out on a limb here, but I see market crash, I see inflation going up, unemployment going up, gas prices skyrocketing.
Wow, he's like a prophet. Move over, Professor Jang.
Being abandoned by our allies because we gave them the middle finger in like 40 different ways. And when I look at that, my rational brain says, these actually are like revolutionary conditions. The only reason why
No, they're not. You know how we know they're not revolutionary conditions? We're all sitting here, well-fed, at our computers, happy. Find me a revolution where everybody's well-fed. Go find me a revolution where everybody is well-fed and happy and not out in the streets in thousands and thousands and thousands. Go find me one. We are all cozy indoors, safe. Yeah, our groceries are more expensive, but you know what? We still buy them. Gas is more expensive. We're still buying it. We're still driving. I'm sorry, do you think like, I'm gonna lose everything and revolt against the government and upend the social order because gas cost me $50 more? No. 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 Your Netflix monthly fees went up and you paid it. Your Amazon Prime fees went up and you paid it. Your Amazon Prime account didn't deliver your books on time and you paid it. And then you didn't like skip on that cup of coffee or that beer. You went out and bought those too. You were just a little bit more stressed about it. People being a little bit more stressed is not revolutionary conditions, Kyle. Because I like that George Carlin bit. Really poor people exist to keep middle class people scared shitless. Because nobody wants to be that. And being like actual revolutionary action opens the door to you losing literally everything, which is one of the reasons why there are no revolutions unless people are generally losing already literally everything, unless they literally can't eat. You make it so people can't eat for a few days, you'll have a revolution on your hands. That's why the Social Security thing was such a big deal. That's why people not getting their checks was such a big deal, because it meant literally that people who lived paycheck to paycheck would suddenly go homeless and couldn't eat. You had a whole lot of people who suddenly couldn't afford to live. That was a massive danger. This? No. No. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close. Iran was undergoing massive, huge protests at the time when America, in its infinite wisdom, administered freedom to a bunch of schoolgirls and murdered them, right? Iran's still standing. Iran is not only still standing, it's actually kind of flexing right now. Because America fucked it up really hard, but now they're stuck. Now they're trapped. Because they beat him up really bad, but now Iran still hanging on to him. It's like that scene from Better Call Saul when Mike, what's his name? What's that crazy guy's name? You know what I'm talking about? It's like when he grabs him and holds him till the cops come, the drug lord guy. And he's beating him up, like he's beating Mike up really bad, but he holds him and the cops come and he's fucked. That's where America is at right now. Tuco, thank you. I wanted to say Tuco. I didn't want to just make up a name and get it wrong. Was it Rico? No, it was Rico. It wasn't Tuco. It was Rico. Was it Tuco? Who's Rico? Was it Tuco Salamanca? Was there a Rico Salamanca? I was confused because there's a Tuco in the Matrix Revolutions, which is what I immediately think of by Tuco. Or Rico. It's Tuco. Sorry, autocorrect. Nah, it's just racism and you know it.
I hesitate to like make that prediction is because we have so many tricks.
Look, you didn't call nacho burrito, okay? That's what's important.
To do escapism in this country, where oftentimes it feels like people can go off in their own little bubbles and, you know, you have fucking Netflix and you have video games and you have 1,000 different ways to sort of distract you. And we also still have a relatively high standard of living.
By the way, you know what I found out? I've been dying to try this forever. I'm sure it's shitty. You can't get pimento cheese in Canada. I am so fascinated by this product. I want to try a pimento cheese sandwich, and I cannot. It doesn't exist here. I can't even buy pimento peppers. I can't make it from scratch. They're just not there. I'd have to like buy like stuffed olives with pimentos in them and just tweeze them out individually. I'll send you some. That will not keep in the mail, Brooks, but I appreciate the thought.
Things considered. But do you see the same thing that I see, that like in a world that made sense, these almost would be revolutionary conditions where there would be hundreds of thousands of people in the streets basically demanding that Trump no longer be president?
Yes, it will keep. No, it's got cream cheese in it. It's not going to keep. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No King's already happened, Kyle. You don't even remember its name. That's how impactful it was.
Yeah, I think the thing that's stopping us here is that so few people have a vision of what comes next.
No, it's because you're all rich. You're rich and you're happy. You're poor. Your poor are rich in global terms, which is a good thing. Also a bad thing, because you can absolutely afford to not have people be poor. Not like the poorest of the poor, but you know, as the right likes to point out, even poor people have cell phones and TVs. We've got luxuries. We're not starving. In fact, we're getting fatter. We're getting fatter because the only thing we can afford with our limited time is McDonald's. But, point is, even you're poor, they ain't gonna risk their meager apartment and their cheeseburger, okay? They want to live. They got hopes and dreams. They have relationships. And the ones that don't have relationships, well, they don't have a whole lot of organizing potential.
Even the progressive Democrats, even the people we look to, like AOC and Bernie, mostly spend their time prescribing policy solutions, right? It is
That's because they're liberals.
a fact that our healthcare system is broken. They propose
No Kings is still going. Nobody's talking about it.
better way of arranging the money, of arranging the incentives. But there are very few people out there proposing a fundamental reorientation of the way we govern. You know, in the French Revolution, we had the Enlightenment thinkers.
By the way, reminder, we have a new policy called Hell of the Week, okay? Hell of the Week. So every single week, we are going to have some horrible, long, semi-politically related, super long segment. Upwards of 10 hours. If we get $300 in a stream for the Hell of the Week, we will cover that, and it will take multiple streams to do. So this week's is King Critical's 13-hour-long video debunking transphobia. Okay? So if we get $300 with the word King Critical in it, in a stream, we will do it. And the reason why it is so high is because I really don't want to. Because if that stream is 14 hours long, my stream will be, well, my coverage will be 30 hours long. And it will switch up to a different thing every week. So once upon a time, we had 20 some hours of covering What If Altis breakdown. That would have been an example. That will be on President Sunday Dark, which is the Variety nonsense channel. And I will despise every one of you who donated towards that. Yeah, I did do that one for free because I apparently am a danger to myself. All right. Anywho, so we are starting fresh every single day. It starts fresh. We are at 0. We get to 300. We're there. That's how it works. I've also explained previously, the theory meter works differently now. Instead of switching to a theory segment, if we get $100 to skip to theory, what that actually means, I'm going to change the text for that, is you get a theory-themed fireside chat within a day. I will just do one. I will just explain a theoretical concept, give a take on a theoretical concept, and that's how that will work. So we are at 20 now. If we get to 80, with 80 super chats with the word theory in the title, it can be cumulative. So if 40 of you give $2, there we go. We're at 100. then you will get a pre-prepared video on some theoretical element. Drama will mean that we open up a President Sunday Dark stream, and we go cover a drama topic. So like it could be people snarking Nick DeOrio or whatever. Something like that. That's how that works. That's how we're keeping the lights on. Except not really, because we also have a Patreon. Linked in the description, where all of the pre-prepared content will be in advance, early. There is currently an essay there that's 20 minutes long. That's a preview. It's an Angela Collier response. It's the first part of it. On the social contract. So if you're interested in that, you can subscribe to the Patreon. And that is how stuff is going from now on. I'll work out a pithy way to show that in future, so I'm not blabbing for this long. But back to the Suds.
The upper middle class in the Revolutionary War, you know, all the founding fathers were ginned up on Enlightenment thinking. You had people who were willing to make an argument against what we were experiencing, but now
they had slaves actually, Vosch.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you've got Twitter commies, I guess, but outside of that, can people really imagine the alternative? This is why I think the Democrats is a greater long-term threat. They don't do damage as much as the Republicans, right? And just like
they do damage exactly as much as the Republicans. You could argue that they give birth to the Republicans. But they do all the same things. Why do you think Trump was already situated to kidnap Maduro at the beginning of his term? The Democrats were fucking with the Venezuelans forever.
One-on-one, you know, comparison between how much harm they do. The Republicans win out. But I think it's the Democrats' responsibility.
Is Kyle even a pseudo? Isn't being a bumbling populist his whole shtick? Fair. Kyle's not a sued. Kyle's just dumb. Kyle is dumb.
To look at what the Republicans are doing and to say, this is so bad that in order to preserve the Republic, we need to offer people the belief, the hope that we can recover, that there is an alternative to this. We don't need to spend the rest of our lives every 4 years fighting with just a collection of subhuman retards over whether or not it should be legal to.
Guys, don't worry, we can beat the Nazis. We can beat those subhuman retards. Are you listening to yourself?
Rape people, or whether or not climate change exists. Like this isn't a fight we need to have. And I think, unfortunately, the Democrats have done a very.
At pure_copium super chatted $5.73. Firu, Firula, pod galgum svegla sveglika. Firu, Firuli, na galj bumo dosli si. Od she dobi zed a navik jedini su galj leg.
I see we have entered into the realm of Sheogorath. We are doomed.
Very bad job pitching that alternative.
Thank you for that very strange super chat, Pure Copium.
You know, they need to gin people up with something. I don't think they're going to deliver, right? Or I don't think that they're capable of fully committing to that. But even in their own self-interest, you'd think they'd give it a shot. You'd think they'd give somebody something to work with.
Yeah, so my question...
Sonny, this dude sent this chat to Brooks also. Let me see if AI can figure out what this is. This has to be like a thing, right? Copy here. Oh, it is a thing. Looks like a poem of some kind or a song. Huh, weird.
Question for you is, how many Democrats do you think are there in the proper place? Because from where I'm sitting, I feel like when we launched Justice Democrats and it was in Trump's first term, we kind of missed our window. We missed like when the revolt would actually happen, where the Democratic base no longer trusts Democratic leaders and you have these like outsider Democrats sort of rise up. And I see that window happening now. I see the rise of people like Graham Plattner, who's winning by like double digits against Mills, who's the handpicked Schumer candidate.
You think the Blackwater mercenary? You think the Blackwater mercenary, that's your... Okay. Sure thing, Kyle. That's it. That's the ticket. That's the ticket, Kyle. We got the Blackwater mercenary who's trying to do the Joe Rogan. We need to talk to men. shtick. You think he's the okay? Cool.
Candidate. I see people like Katabu Ghazale. I see people like Abdul El Sayed. I see people like Oliver Larkin is his name.
To an extent, I think Talarico, because I think that like
Talarico, right.
a willingness to speak against Israel is a willingness to speak against the complicity of the centrist Democrats.
Right. And so I guess my point is, even though it's the worst of times in many ways, I see a window opening that I didn't see previously where there's no complacency among the new crop
Brooks already told you Plattner has potential. Yeah, but he's wrong.
of ascendant Democrats. The old guard is still there.
I take no pleasure in it. I will be proved right. He is wrong.
We still have to topple them. We still have to finish the job. But I see young Democrats who are coming up who actually do give me a little bit of hope. Now, it's possible that I'm being completely and utterly naive here, and the same cycle continues, where even if they get in there, then they sort of betray the movement and they go back to being standard Democrats. But I don't know, is my hope misplaced in your opinion, or do you feel like this is actually the Democratic Tea Party? Because I kind of think it is.
I hope so. I like a lot of these people, you know? I think it's so... This is the anarchist critique of entryism, right? Like
I'm sorry.
You can have the best hopes, the best dreams, the best ideas. Once you enter the electoral system, once you try to improve the party from within, you get caught by all these incentive structures that...
That's not anarchist. That's not the anarchist critique. That's the fucking right-wing critique. Conservative sociologists recognize this. This is universal. This is not an anarchist point. Everybody knows this. It's very simple. As soon as you become invested in a system, you're invested in a system. That's it. Like you think, oh, we're going to change American politics through this party. You are now a shill for the party. Even when the party completely betrays its values, you're going to stick by it because in your head and with all of your investments, that is the hope for the future. And you will be a conservative for that party, even as the party becomes conservative. You will end up being right-wing as a quote-unquote Democrat. That's how that works. You will find any justification to excuse Democrats taking Israeli money, which is actually American money sent to Israel, sent back. Because, well, we need to beat the bad guys, right? How are we going to defeat genocide if we don't get into office? And how are we going to get into office if we don't do what the instigators of the genocide who have a lot of money tell us to do?
Drag you down, and eventually you're making the same compromises as the people who you're trying to replace. I don't know if that's going to happen. I do know that the Democratic electorate right now has not been sold on a widespread solution to the problem we have within this party. And
there is no solution. There is no solution. Everybody who talks about socialism or whatever as like, oh, well, these are the rules we need to put into place, is a fool. There is no solution. There is no policy that fixes things. It is the fount of all power in your society that is the problem. That leads inexorably to the conclusions that you are at currently. That's the problem. The problem is at the end of the day, the basis of the identity of every single human and non-human animal in your world is determined by its relationship to capital. It's determined by the particular manner in which its labor is exploited. That's it. There is no solution. That's why Marx had no solutions. Do you see any solutions? If you actually read these people, no, they don't have solutions. They don't have plans. They advocate on behalf of certain parties that are agitating in particular ways because they see a pragmatic possible way of nudging things in the right direction. There are no solutions. Sunday, you're blackpilling? I am not blackpilling. That is not blackpilling. Okay, you can see, I can blackpill if you want. That is not blackpilling. He's just fundamentally wrong. Blackpilling would be saying Vosch is correct, because if Vosch is correct, you are doomed. If Vosch is correct, you are royally screwed. There is no hope. If Vosch is correct, then literally the best you can hope for, is that some billionaire decides to fund someone who makes it so you spend $100 less when you go to the emergency room. That's what you got. Your biggest hope is Canada at this point. That's what Vosch offers. That's the best hope you have if Vosch is correct. And I gotta tell you, as a Canadian, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Know that because if you take someone like AOC, much more popular than Schumer. If AOC ran for Senate against Schumer, she would win. I think
Better than you, though.
most people accept that. I think Schumer knows that. But right now, the most popular potential candidate for 2028 for the Democrats is Kamala Harris. And it's like, man, Kamala Harris is Schumer. Kamala Harris is Hillary Clinton. She is the same. She is Biden. She is everything that led to low turnout from the Democrats in 2024, everything that depressed their
Red Unger? Which Unger?
Their engagement. So
You'll have to narrow it down. Probably not.
maybe people are ginned up on these individual, like, you know, competent, do something Democrats. I don't know if they yet have this, like, an understanding of and disgust for what the centrist Democrats really represent. And we need that. And this is why I'm so critical of AOC, not for anything she proposes in a positive sense, but in a negative sense. I think she should be critiquing party leadership more. Why the hell are Jeffries and Schumer still in their positions? Why the hell is there not more widespread outrage?
Right.
Nobody.
Have you seen AOC's takes on Venezuela? I hope you got more than that, Vosch.
Nobody likes them. Their own people don't like them. The Clintons replace their unpopular leadership. I don't know why. It contributes the impression that the Democrats just run a loyalty club, you know, where the most senior.
Of course they do. What are you, a moron? Of course they do. You think they don't? You think there's no filter in place for people who aren't going to completely upset the network of connections that is the basis of their institutional power? Obviously. You know this because that's how you've survived this entire time, Vosch. There are people with written records of you sexually harassing them in DMs, and there are written records of you colluding with other people to make sure that nobody takes them seriously. You got banned from fucking Destiny's Discord for sexual harassment that you tried to bully that person into silence over. You called them subhuman too. You used your connections to bury that. Like, obviously, that's how this works. And Kyle just listens. That's because Kyle is dumb. He's dumb. He is dumb. There's nothing going on in here. He's just happy to be here. He's happy to be here. He's happy to have a nice set. He's happy that he gets a nice dinner after this. He's happy that he can sleep like a baby because he's in a comfortable mattress and he doesn't have to worry about the bills. Everybody here is happy to be here. Nobody here cares about what they're talking about. Nobody gives a shit. Why? Because if they did, they'd read a fucking book about it. They take some pains to know what they're talking about. They wouldn't just make shit up on screen live, misinforming millions of people. They would care about what they're talking about. There are people who make no money off of this, including this channel, by the way, who actually spend tremendous amounts of time actually trying to understand what they're saying before they say it, because they care about informing people and not misinforming people. These people don't. Nobody here is serious. All of these people, and not only that, they will be replaced. All of these people will get old, they will retire. They will appear on talk shows every so often. Oh, you were big in the 2020s as like a YouTuber? Can you tell us about that? That's all. These are actors. Shitty actors. For losers. For losers who want to pretend to feel represented because nobody cares about them. Hate to break it to you. The thousands of people who watch Vosch go like, oh, well, this is what we have to do about policy. They don't do anything after that. They listen to him while they're doing the dishes. They listen to him while they're on the bus. They listen to a rich guy who uses his power to sexually harass people, who misinforms people because he knows that people are so desperate for any sort of validation that they won't call out someone who tells them stuff that's blatantly wrong, because then they won't be part of the club anymore. Like, that's it. That's it. Full stop. I'm feeding snakes right now? Well, that's better than doing the dishes.
Your geriatrics get leadership because it's their turn, and the will of the party has nothing to do with it. And that's
no, your geriatrics get leadership because they've been there for a very long time, and they've networked with a lot of people, and they have a lot of capital at their disposal, and people have invested in them. That's why.
Stuff depresses me. I don't know if we're on the eve of a solution.
There is no solution. You're not on the eve of anything.
Yeah, so I think the part that's not depressing to me is that I do...
If a Democrat gets into office, you are going to see essentially a milder version of everything that has taken place so far, because the Republicans have created a bunch of new toys that the Democrats are not going to put down willingly. Trump made a personal army for the federal government, for the executive branch. You think any Democrat's going to want to get rid of that? They're still talking right now about how it needs to be funded. ICE didn't exist until relatively recently, but they're still talking about like it needs to be funded. They're not getting rid of anything. They're not going to change anything. There's going to be no change at all. Not really. It'll be less apparent for Americans. Americans will be relatively comfortable with the misery that America is inflicting on other people at an increased intensity as a result of what Trump has done.
You see in the new crop more of a willingness to say, we need like a page one rewrite here. I mean, I brought up Plattner. He's probably the best example where he's like crusading against the Iran war. He's calling Chuck Schumer out. He's willing to mix it up. I just saw Ro Khanna earlier on Twitter today was fighting with people who were saying it was anti-Semitic to mention the Epstein class and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess my point is these old taboos are shattering. Now, they should have shattered a long time ago in the Trump era, because it's like to have any sort of taboos like that when Trump clearly, like, there is no playbook and he says whatever he wants. It's kind of crazy. The Democrats are slow to learn. But I do think we are getting to a place like that now where there's a sort of default recognition of the Republican Party, certainly among the entire Democratic electorate, like the voting base, that the Republican Party truly is a terrorist, fascist,
demonic,
imperialist,
right,
death cult, like absolutely demonic.
Anti-life.
And so that is spurring Democrats to have to be a little better than they were in the past, no?
No, I do think so. I think that the understanding that Republicans aren't just like because this was the myth that the centrists wanted to push, that the Republican Party was filled with good people, and they disagreed with Democrats on how to do the same fundamental things, to lower prices, to make the country better, whatever. In reality, they just want to maximize corporate profits and child rape. As long as those two lines are going up, they're fine. That's it. That's all they care about. They'll burn the country down if they can get those two things. So knowing that they're a terroristic entity, which I completely agree with, yeah, I think a lot of even liberal Democrats, right?
Damn, Vosch isn't dead. I understand why Stephen can still debate. There's absolutely no standards. America produces a massive surplus of extremely bad people. Extremely bad people. Racists and fascists on the one hand, and ressentiment-fueled losers who desperately want to have a hit of feeling like they have power on the other. And those people gravitate to Vosch and Destiny. America is full of these people. Full of them. Like fleas.
Like the constituency, they're waking up to that. And what we need to see is that translate into results at the ballot box, because that does not gel with having Chuck Schumer as your Senate Majority Leader. I think that we're going to enter a dark period for a while, because there is this spark, but we are not yet at a point where the competent Democrats, the do-something Democrats, can affect their will electorally.
You're not getting there. That's never going to happen, Vosch. You still think America is the main character. You are a part of the problem. You are at the center of things. You are reliant for your lifeblood. You are reliant for your success, for your way of life, on the same power that puts Trump into office and has allowed the Democrats and motivated the Democrats to brutalize innocent people around the world for decades. And decades and decades and decades. Back to the slave trade. That's where that's you.
So we might be in for 4, 8, 12 years of people on the left essentially saying,
is Canada full of fascists and or ressentiment-fueled losers? Yeah, but most of them are Chinese.
Why?
No, yes, we are. In fact, we produce some of the best ones. You're welcome, Jordan Peterson. What's his name? That debate me guy. My brain's not working. The guy who had like wife drama a couple years ago.
Why won't you realize we're right? how long will it take? And every election
Professor Jang, I think, has Canadian citizenship, no?
cycle, things shift more and more towards us, but there's going to be so much suffering
Crowder. There you go, Stephen Crowder.
along the way. And maybe a
Right.
couple of really bad Democrat presidents, like Newsom types, you know, who just reinforce the point, but they get people's hopes up and then they get disillusioned.
Yeah, will they will they be able to pantomime being us? That's the thing, right? Because if Newsom is able to successfully be able to pantomime
Kyla's not a fascist. She's just dumb.
being one of us, then I agree he can dupe the Democratic electorate and probably get in there. But I've already seen signs of like, I don't know if you could pull it off.
Israel.
And it might be the case that, well, exactly, it might be the case that Newsom,
Sorry, what?
if Newsom is able to successfully be able to pantomime being one of us, then I agree he can dupe the Democratic electorate and probably get in there. But I've already seen signs of like, I don't know if you could pull it off.
Israel.
And it might be the case that, well, exactly, it might be the case that Newsom is going to be like the most wrong I ever was when I thought DeSantis might be the nominee for the Republicans in 2024. Yeah, 2024, right? I think it might end up being like that, where, like your point on Israel, he criticized Israel tepidly. He gets pushback. He immediately comes out and his spokesperson's like, he actually wants to defend Israel more than anybody else does. And so that's my hope, right? Is that the Kamala types and the Gavin Newsom
Paradise not a fascist. Fascists believe in things. That's not true.
types, while they will try to sort of mimic the way
Fascists don't believe in anything fundamentally. You're giving them too much credit. Fascists aren't people who have an ideology and ideals and are mistaken. Fascists are people. Oh, what's this? Are you gonna work there? Do you think the concept of rhizome can be used to replace social organization like state in the capitalist economy? The rhizome has lots of capacity. I think the rhizome is a way of understanding social organization. I think the state is arboreal in its structure, in its institutional form. But when you're talking about like rhizome versus arborescent, what you're talking about specifically is like, do you understand a thing in terms of its top-down, order-imposing sort of that sort of relationship, or do you understand it in terms of the libidinal connections sort of horizontally with other things? Does that make sense? I would sort of reject the framing of the question, but thank you very much. I appreciate the donation.
we are, I don't think they have it in them. I think they're going to shoot themselves in the dick. And then I think when they do that, you leave the lane wide open. Like, in a weird way, think about it like with the election of Barack Obama. He genuinely and sincerely came out of nowhere, where everybody expected Hillary Clinton was going to win that election. Then here comes this, like, young senator who hasn't even been in the Senate that long, and all of a sudden he fucking, barnstorms his way to victory. And I think we're sort of primed for something like that now, where it could be like a politician who comes out of nowhere, who says the right things and believes the right things. It could be a celebrity. It could be somebody we're not even thinking about or talking about right now. I almost feel like Kamala at the top and Newsom at the top at this moment is almost like a placeholder from name recognition, in the same way that, like, Rudy Giuliani was leading in the 2008 Republican primary. Then the second the fucking thing starts, he falls off a cliff.
I think that the Israel is both a blessing and a curse here within the Democratic Party, because Zionists are so whiny. It's really tough for people like Newsom to feign being on the left, because the moment even a milquetoast critique of Israel, every donor group, every funding group, every consultancy group, they all step out and they're like, you can't say that, sir. How dare you? And then they have to walk.
I should clarify though, Cosmo. This is or Cosmic, pardon me. Cosmic. This is a take by someone who has read Anti-Oedipus, but I would not pretend to fully understand Anti-Oedipus.
Okay, back. So it's really easy to tell there, because they demand like total loyalty, absolute fealty to the state of Israel. But on the negative side, there is so much pressure out there, man. I can't imagine. Like, we only catch glimpses of it from the outside. They are probably squashing so many potential presidential hopefuls, like Van Leyen, for example, right? There are so many people, I think, who could potentially run a really good presidential campaign for 2028 from the Democratic side, who are probably facing a lot of internal pressure. And they need to fight that, because if that's the line, like, if you cannot be a Democratic president without bending the knee to some extent, then we're caught in a death spiral. Like, at the very
yeah, you already are, Vosch. Catch up to the fucking 80s. What is wrong with you? Like, what? What is wrong with you? How do you like now we're caught in a death spiral? Just all of a sudden? Guys, I think we got a problem here. I think we've got a problem here, guys. I think the Democrats are compromised by capital. I think the Democrats are being paid off by AIPAC and stuff like that. I think there's billionaires who are fucking around with things. Taylor Lorenz was debating with Destiny the other day, saying that, look, guys, I don't take dark money. I can tell you exactly which billionaire is funding me. What planet are we on? What year is it?
At least until 32, we're caught in a death spiral.
So the good news, though, is AIPAC has recently...
What was the date of this conversation? This is 4 days old.
...had to get creative. And so they've had to...
I guess this is probably a segment, but I bet it was put up basically the same day or the day after. So I'm going to say 5 days old at the latest.
Like, run ads against the candidates they dislike that don't mention anything to do with Israel because they know how unpopular Israel is
Creating
among
other
Democratic
packs
voters.
with different names or like
Yeah.
feigning progressive. Yeah.
Right.
That's not new. That's not new. That's not new.
So to me, that's a sign of like, oh, these motherfuckers.
Do you ever feel like people measure societal shifts in months or years instead of decades? I feel like people measure it in terms of decades. I feel like people talk about the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s and the 2020s. God, I'm old. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Are on the retreat. They're still on the offense in the sense that they're trying dirty tricks in order to like, fool Democratic voters into electing the wrong people. But that shows that they can't just forthrightly argue for the things that they believe in because it's totally out of lockstep with the Democratic voting base. So I take some solace out of that. I guess one of the things I'm concerned about is I wish I was wrong about this, but my gut instinct tells me we're going to deal with another scenario where even if we get a great Democratic president, that you're going to have another Obama scenario where they go, we look forward, we don't look backward, and like we're not going to criminally charge all the people who literally just went on a 4-year-long crime spree. And that to me, like I almost want it to be a litmus test in 2028 that like you need to openly be on the record. We're going to investigate, prosecute Elon Musk. We're going to go after Stephen Miller. We're going to go after Donald Trump. Like we cannot let this fucking criminal syndicate get away with everything they've done. Because if we do, then genuinely and sincerely, there is no more United States, there is no more rule of law. Like it's just like you have an emperor and they decide anything and everything and they don't care about the Constitution.
No, I
got some bad news for you, buddy. Got some bad news for you. Got a lot of bad news for you. Decades of bad news for you, in fact. Decades and decades of bad news for you, in fact.
that is a litmus test for me. I'm not voting for any Democratic presidential candidate who's not pledging that.
Well, good to know what your price is. And it's cheap.
You're completely correct. We literally don't have a country if this is the standard. If every 4 years the Republicans
I'm sorry. Are you saying in advance, unless you're saying in advance that you will not vote for Plattner on principle because his actions have spoken louder than his words, you are literally just saying, yeah, just say the word. Just say the right thing, Democrat candidate. And we'll give you the keys to the kingdom, and then you can be Trump. But smarter.
have the opportunity to rape the country to death, and then afterwards they just get away from it. The next Democratic candidate, we saw what happened when
when do we stop this thing on? In like 5 minutes.
With Biden, right? With Merrick Garland. We saw everyone was so hyped up. Trump was incredibly unpopular, even to an extent with Republicans after Jan 6. Everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. Fox News wasn't defending him. There was a window of time where the culture turned against him. And everyone thought, okay, well, Biden's going to come in. Merrick Garland's going to annihilate him. Like everyone affiliated with this is going down. This is going to be unthinkable. Like no one will ever do this again because Trump just fucked up. If he had won, maybe there'd be a different outcome, but he lost. So now he and everyone around him is going to get eviscerated. Then nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. And now look where we are. This is what happens when you let lawlessness fester. Any Democratic candidate who refuses to enforce the law, I don't think is worthy of being president. I think that the idea that we can allow these people to get away with this is insane. I want every single gas station receipt these people have ever racked up to be brought in and scrutinized. I want everything they've ever done. I want every security camera that has ever caught them, every text they've ever sent or received. I want a nonstop criminal spectacle of them, and I want there to be results. And I am so hardline on this, I would prefer an economically moderate president who annihilates the Republican Party over the crimes they've engaged in, over an economically progressive president who does not. Because I think the long-term consequences, look, don't get me wrong, not a choice I want to have to make, and probably probably not a choice the universe is going to force on me. But I think the long-term consequences of letting the most criminal presidential administration in history, by a long shot, get away with it, is far worse than almost any other outcome. It's like the doomsday scenario. They're just going to do it again. You're telling them to do it again because all they're doing right now is winning. Like, Trump is unpopular. Sure, yeah, his poll numbers are going down. The country's falling apart. He doesn't care. All the people around him, every time there's a market spike and then a dip, everyone around
That's not true. He cares.
on Trump who insider traded to, buy the dip beforehand.
Did the 140 you got for that few days ago count? No. God, no. God, no. This resets every single day. I don't want to do this. You need to understand this hell of the way thing. I don't want to do this. That's why the price is so high. If I do this, that 14-hour stream, that will be 30 hours of content. I don't want to do this. I would rather eat this cloth, okay, that I'm using to wipe my desk. I do not want to do this. I don't want to do this, okay? So if we get $300 in a day, I will do it. I don't want to do it. My hope is that you don't. The thing I'm covering will shift next week, okay?
They get $100 million. They're going to walk away. They don't care. They'll just do it again. They don't care how the country's
Have a good night, Cliff.
doing. They're winning. They're winning and they're laughing at us and they're fucking kids. And the idea that they can just get away with this it's unconscionable to me.
Totally agree. Now,
I don't think Vosch understands that we can't go backwards and reseal the illusionary box of constitutional democracy. Vosch doesn't know anything about his country's history. Like, he literally doesn't know anything about his country's history. Vosch will say, without a hint of irony, we won, quote unquote, with respect to the history of colonialism, while being Polish/Irish. I'm not entirely sure. It's like, no, dude, you lost first. You were the testing ground. You lost before the American natives did. Like,
let me ask you this.
now you've done push-ups. You do sit-ups. $5 for a sit-up. I really don't want to. I'll do a push-up stream next stream. Okay. I'm not feeling great today. I've had like very poor sleep. I've been working my ass off. I have to record a video on the Angela Collier thing tonight. I need to get another like 10 or so minutes out. Not tonight.
So
Eating the cloth must be like 200. I am not eating my cloth. Thank you.
my reading of the situation is that I genuinely think the empire is already over.
You can't pay me enough.
Like, in name, it still
$100,000. Okay.
might be occurring. The dollar might still be the world reserve currency, but I think the groundwork is already laid and the seeds are already planted where, like, it's gonna blow up. It's gonna eventually, the dollar is no longer gonna be the world reserve currency. Eventually, all of our allies are gonna like run into the loving arms of China. And
Desire is not right. I think you mean Rhizombic Sunday. It is more schizo. I don't think desire is necessarily either. Desire, like everything is desire, right? In Duluth, everything's desire. So like even like the rhizomatic relationships are relationships of desire. Arborescent relationships are relationships of desire. Everything's desire. It's like it's Spinozist.
and totally abandon us. And like, this is what happens when you launch a trade war against your allies, when you don't give a shit about your own treaties that Trump.
Shit. Oh, we hit the 5-minute mark. Okay. All right. We gotta stop with this horrible thing. We're gonna cover the other. I'm gonna tell you who we're gonna cover next. So Destiny is now apparently getting into Nick Land. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Oh geez. Sorry, I got carried away. Boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
So we're not going to watch just this, because apparently she has a whole video. Destiny talking to Troublestick about Nick Land's philosophical project. Wait a minute. That's not Destiny's channel. There's so many of these. Oh my god. Why are there so many of these? Why are there so many? Hang on. What's the one Imran sent? I want to look at the one that Imran sent. What is that one?
Okay.
Okay, so I did get the right one. Okay, weird. Okay, we're going to bring in Brooks.
And how are you doing Sunday?
Oh, I wish I was doing literally anything else. How are you?
Fine. Did a stream accidentally because I had the wrong fucking understanding of what day of the week it was. So yeah, just trying to survive, basically.
Oh, did you stream on the wrong day?
I did. I thought today was Klasowski Day, so I was like really freaking out. I had a bunch of early meetings. I've been up since like, I got up at like 6:30. Been in meetings since like 7, trying to get this fucking.
Klosowski's Tuesdays, isn't it?
It's Thursdays.
Oh, it's Thursdays.
But it doesn't matter because it's neither of those days is today, so it doesn't really matter in
True.
the long run. It is what it is.
Well, you ready for your day to get a little bit worse?
Yeah, I'm curious about this.
I'm curious too.
Getting into it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. As a note, the state cannot possibly ever be Rhizombic. Rhizombic works with local next and local potential rather than global, and having large scale anything that is outside of locality is not a Rhizombic reality. So if you're presuming Rhizombic and you're talking about things that are larger than next possible or how a thing literally develops, you're not talking about anything that's Rhizombic.
I think it depends on the scale. Like you could do a rhizomatic relationship between things at higher. Well, I mean, you do that with humans, right? So you could do that. Like for example, if you're talking about like relationships between communities in a horizontal scale, that happen to be all under the
literally
domination
you already did the thing though. You said it's horizontal scale. Like you're defining a thing that's necessitating a thing that is not Rhizombic. Rhizombic is itself dealing with the necessity of whatever happens to be coming next as a thing, rather than like I don't know anything else besides that. Honestly, as it's rhizomatic and rhizome and all that is complicated, but it is not something that works for a state apparatus.
No, not for a state apparatus, but like for the thing, for example, that a state apparatus exerts force upon. Right, because there are like obviously like living communities at like multiple scales of analysis and like in non-human scales of analysis that state institutions and like state forms still like sort of parasitically subsist off of. Right, that's sort of where I'm going. I'm not saying that you can understand the state rhizomatically. What I'm saying is like because that was my.
I just don't understand that would be a rhizomatic then.
Well, it wouldn't be. I'm talking like you would understand like stuff and life and human communities rhizomatically, and then there would be a state institution on top of that, but it would still be like engaging with something that can be understood, that should be understood rhizomatically, right? That's sort of where that's where I was going with that. Because like states are arborescent, like very like explicitly. When you draw them out, they're literally like you draw them.
Almost everything is, by the way.
Sure. Like, anywho, Nick Land. I don't know.
And as I mentioned, just Roberto Unger is who.
Roberto Unger?
Cosmic's mentioning. Roberto Unger wrote just a lovely book I used in my last video.
Okay.
The Religion of the Future. I think you'd enjoy because he engages with like what religion does in the theology of things in a very particular way that's very interesting.
Oh, is that published by Zone Books?
It's very good. Like all of his stuff is very good. I like the way he thinks. I have issues with some different, like again, he's very good. I like his thought process.
I'll give him a look. Excuse me. All right. Oh, it's Verso. Oh, of course it's Verso. It's always Verso. I hate Verso.
It's fine.
Verso sucks. Zone Books has excellent production qualities. Verso is like, look, I've been reading Unholy Kingdom by Melise Ruthven because of Radio Warner. It's a really good book. It's I hate Verso's production values. They're like it's the cheapest fucking glue. They're just awful. They're awful. Their books are awful. Their books are good. The way that they're produced is just like ugh. Zone Books is like they're phenomenally well produced.
Interesting.
Anyways, Destiny talks with Tropical Stuck about Nick Land's philosophical project. Apparently she has some other video on Nick Land. Apparently I read all of Nick Land.
Hey, she dipped into my chat the other day.
Really?
Yeah, apparently she watches me.
Oh no. Okay. She has a video, I read all of Nick Land, so you don't have to. I think that's her.
It's not bad, just so you know.
Well, that's good. Because I haven't read all of Nick Land, so.
It's basically just shitting on the various ways Nick Land takes things and runs with it. I disagree that some of his stuff is... She puts a little bit more value on some of his stuff than I would, but again, it's not bad.
Why can't I fucking find it? Tropical stuck. I'll just look up tropical stuck. Why can I not find her anywhere?
I don't know.
Hang on. One sec. Someone posted. I think
I only found her because she commented in my chat. I think she donated like $5 and was like, "Hey, thanks for your videos. It helped me get through Nick Land and understand some things."
Oh, here we go.
Like, all right, I'll check this out. And it
In
turned out
late
to be
2020.
pretty good.
That was crazy difficult to find. Okay. Oh, it's actually a relatively small channel. I'm kind of surprised. Let's take a look at this. This is 12 minutes long. But she's changed the title. Is Nick Land the AI Demon Kabbalah? It used to be called, I read all of Nick Land so you don't have to. Maybe it's like A/B testing. But just so people know I'm not lying, I'm just going to pop it up. That's the original title.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's called now. Okay, here we go.
It's a decent little video. It's more humorous and it's zoomery. It's not for us, me old people.
In late
But,
2025, Tucker Carlson pulled out this image on his nominal podcast.
That's from
Many
the
people are
CCRU ratings.
confused. What was it? Who made it? And what secrets doth it hold? Conrad Flynn tried to explain, only further confusing Carlson. But this was the work of several members of the Cybernetic Cultural Research Unit, also known as the CCRU, the leaders of which was one such Nick Land. Despite the podcast playing him out to be a leading expert in the occult, AI doomsday enthusiasts might be dismayed to know that Nick Land actually has no background in AI, or technology, or demonology. Born in 1962 in, presumably England, not much is known about Nick Land's childhood. He's left it purposely pretty opaque. The first we see him emerge is at 25 years old through his PhD thesis from the University of Essex, published in 1987 on Heidegger's Thoughts on the Young Poet Jörg Träkel. This got Land his PhD in philosophy, a true man of the liberal arts. Yes, that is completely right. Not a STEM kid cell in his body. After that, Land seems to land a job as a PhD supervisor at the University of Warwick, though sources tend to cite him as high, under the influence of several substances at his job, casually coughing as he'd let students into his smoke-filled office. He began teaching in the philosophy department and started mingling in the ideas of cybernetics and experimental theory, with a huge influence from Immanuel Kant for his grounding in critical philosophy, and Georges Bataille for his economic theory. Land's biggest influence by far seems to be that of Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari for their major work Anti-Oedipus, whose dense, hyperbolic writing style and references to machinistic processes would stay ingrained in his works to this day. Land would often find thinkers like Nietzsche darkly comic. To give you a good understanding of his personality, quotes from him would go, "Think of life as an open wound, which you poke at with a stick to amuse yourself." The Cybernetic Cultural Research Unit would emerge from the University of Warwick in October 1995.
I like this drawing.
Co-founded by Dr. Sadie Plant, another Warwick professor. They'd soon be kicked out of campus grounds in 1999.
Sadie Plant, that name rings a bell. What does she do?
Fucking CCRU people.
Oh.
Though, due to a multitude of reasons.
They are
notably
CCRU people. That's like their job, is to be a CCRU person.
a lack of academic rigor, amphetamine abuse, and crazy raves with jungle music. A philosophy conference Len attended included a session in which he was lying on the ground, croaking into a mic, while jungle records played in the background.
Sounds like my job.
The now anti-academia CCRU would then relocate to Lymington Spa, birthplace of Aleister Crowley, mind you, to a space above the body shop. One can only imagine the employees hearing weird EDM bass going on while trying to explain lotions to a customer. Despite this odd location, a wild lineup of names would join the CCRU, including Mark Fisher, who later developed K-Punk blog and wrote the acclaimed book
And who sucks.
Capitalist Realism, Koji Shun, author of More Brilliant Than the Sun, and
Does he suck?
Interesting writing.
a key figure in Afrofuturist theory, and Luciana Parisi, professor of literature at Duke University and author of Contagious Architecture, Computations, Aesthetics, and Space. Most of them would find their association had aged like milk. Why, hello there, intrepid viewer. What brings you to this channel? Anyway, time for today's ad sponsor, yeah? Have you ever wanted to learn about the Gnostic, the occult, the esoteric? Have you ever wanted to learn about Cthulhu and the old ones?
No.
Well, that's where this video's sponsor comes in. Yay! This video's sponsor is MVU, also known as Miskatonic Virtual University. Be it Abrahamic, Hermetic, or Memetic, MVU teaches courses for all levels of study. You want to learn about the AI singularity? You want to learn about Axis from the CCCRU, right? So
Axis is actually from Endor.
I mean,
from
this
the
is all
CCRU
in-universe
writings.
joking.
You want to learn about
I know.
Yagsikov's
sure.
lineage? You want to learn
Because the
about...
thing is, here's the problem with this stuff. All this shit is so fucking stupid that, like, you would be completely forgiven for being like, nah, what is this stupid shit? This is some other stupid shit. It's like, no, this is the right stupid shit. Just making sure.
Wait, is it Griff? No, this isn't Griff. This is someone having fun with nonsense. I'm fine with it. This is fine.
No,
There's nothing
is funny.
There is nothing wrong with
in
this.
a really weird way. It's like a hyper irony.
It's genuinely funny. I'm fine with this.
There is no. So just real quick, there is no actual MVU that, like, she's not pushing the MVU. Nick Land is a fucking lunatic. Like, you need to understand how much this. Like, just go. Never mind.
From the CCRU writings. It's all in MVU's courses online for you. Isn't that great? But wait, I hear you say, isn't this sacrilegious? Isn't this occult? And to that I say, yes, but also, there are other courses too. Learn about all your favorite Abrahamic religions through your favorite format. Watching a podcast with pundits who have never actually read the text at 2 times speed. And what's even better is MVU's offering a total of 42% off the first 50 million subscribers to their service. Yeah! That's actually really good. I got this sponsorship. Listen, I worked very hard for this. So be sure to scan the QR code here on screen so you can get your first year subscription with MVU. And a huge thank you to MVU for helping sponsor this video and support me and my channel. Back to the video! Huge fans of H.P. Lovecraft, notable writer and terrible cat namer, the CCRU would publish the CCRU writings, 1997 to 2003. Reading this might make you question if you're accidentally reading nonfiction at first.
I've heard that's terrible, by the way.
Heard what is terrible?
The CCRU 1990 something to 2003.
I had a stream where I was like explaining to people that the cover, which looks cool, is actually Nick Land's number theory for accessing the truth of the world. And people don't understand what I mean when I say that. Like, he's out of his fucking skull.
Well, I think it's also like 90% like Nick Land. It's not like the other, it's not like the CCRU. It's like a Nick Land book. I think it's got like a sprinkle.
It is a Nick Land book with everyone else around him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since it starts as articles from real people and references real events in history. But about halfway through, you'll realize that Miskatonic Virtual University, MVU, that certain authors reference, is a wink to a fictional university from the H.P. Lovecraft universe, and not a real university. At least, not yet. I won't cover the CCRU writings in depth since a friend of the channel, Lisa from Hijinks, can describe—
You can't even buy it used on eBay or AbeBooks. It just doesn't exist anymore.
I sold my copy for like, someone bought, because I had a first edition, because I bought it when it came out. I thought it was edgy and it's terrible. I sold it for, I think it was a couple $100. It was crazy. Like 10 years ago.
It's probably worth a bit more now.
Oh,
You literally can't buy it. Like, it just doesn't exist. It's not even a matter of like it's super expensive. Like, there are old books you can't get a hold of. You can't frickin' find it.
I will imagine that there's someone out there doing the Lord's work, buying copies, setting them on fire, and collecting the ashes in a big pile.
Much better in her video. Link to that here. Either way, the CCRU would refer to this style of writing as hyperfiction, basically when a fictional text takes itself as reality. Not to be confused with hyperstition, which is an engineering of manifestation or practical fiction that is ultimately unworthy of belief. To the CCRU, nothing is true because everything is under production. This reflects the famous nihilist and anti-humanist stance the CCRU is known for, which is to say that nothing has value, including human life. Nick Lynn would refer to humans as
worthy of study.
It's funny because if you read a lot of like feminist authors who are writing around the same time, they say like very similar things, but better and smarter, and it's not actually nihilistic.
But only as much as the experience of sea slugs.
Like there's a whole lot of post-humanist, anti-humanist philosophers. Donna Haraway and Latour stand out. Like there's a whole lot of, how many views does this video have? It's like 7,000. It's not crazy.
You may even be curious about the cryptic symbols and systems like the numogram or the demon logos that you see plastered everywhere on the archival CCRU website. See, Nick Lynn would also like to know how to use the numogram, because even to this day, he's gone on record saying that he doesn't know how to use it, since it was made for sci-fi writings. So, the reason it seems so confusing is probably because it was made to be just that. Confusing. It does make for a pretty sick logo, though. Dr. City Plant, a cyberpunkette, an expert in both feminist theory and cybernetics, would end up departing later due to her growing distaste with the CCRU's direction under Land. And like an angry ex, he would devolve it into something even darker, anti-egalitarian and anti-humanitarian. During this time, Nick and the CCRU would start to co-opt accelerationism, a term originally...
Okay, I'm bored. Let's go to the Destiny thing.
Okay, hello. Say something.
Hello? Hey, chat.
Okay. Don't talk to chat ever. Just talk
Not
to me.
talking to chat.
Okay. All right.
Don't use any cutlery in that building.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tropical Stuck, from Miami and also Toronto. Member of the CCCRU, but also not to be confused with the CCRU. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it so twisted. Yeah, hi, and I'm here to introduce some stuff about the Dark Enlightenment because I think it's stupid and also dumb. So.
Canadian Cybernetic Cultural Research Unit.
There's this whole thing, and again, I don't have like a lot to say on it because it's interesting enough, and it's like kind of a joke.
One dime's in there.
JREG.
Oh, okay. There you go. That explains that. Okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I asked you before if you'd watched this video. Hold on. Because the only time I've ever seen or watched anything...
Yeah, as soon as I saw JREG, I'm bored. I just don't care. His sense of humor isn't funny.
...related to this was... Fuck.
JREG's sense of humor is like, oh, there's a thing? Well, what if I was also in a thing, and that's the joke? That's the joke.
I will say, I am happy to have anyone taking a piss and taking a shit on anything Nick Land did.
I got nothing wrong.
That's a force for good. That's a force.
I got nothing against any of these people. I just don't think JREG is funny.
Yeah.
I want that on my fucking tombstone. JREG is not funny.
Somebody like me join this video on this. I don't know what her online name is. It's something feminist. Who's got it? What is, summarize the Dark Enlightenment in your own words.
In my own words, so the actual text by Nick Land is essentially just him going on this really anti-humanist rant. But quick summation is he really likes hierarchy. He really understands it fundamentally well. But also, even with that, he wants to kind of just say, oh, everyone who's at the bottom should be poor and stupid, and also should maybe die. So yeah, I fundamentally
so fucking based.
Disagree with it
That's basically.
That's pretty accurate.
I don't have an argument against it.
I've read the Dark Enlightenment. I haven't read his CCRU stuff.
It's always tough because it's she's clearly saying it to be kind of silly jokey,
but it's not wrong.
It's just a good summary.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
I hate this.
Frankly, even though Thirst for Annihilation is very good, relatively speaking, very good, and it's got some interesting stuff.
Yeah, sure.
It's got some interesting stuff. It's evocative. It's like look.
No,
It's like
there are things in it. The worst part about Nick Land is his earlier stuff, and you can see it. It goes all the way through. It's not good, but you can see moments where it's like that would be an interesting thing for someone to play with if he had gone in a different direction. Like you can see that over and over. Like that's an inch. Oh, well, that's what about? And it's like okay, but he doesn't ever.
The trick with Nick Land is like, who's that like shitty AI guy? You know what I'm talking about? I think he did the
only know shitty AI guy.
He did the Harry Potter parody. He grew at Harry Potter. It's like got a weird like Polish name or something. It begins with a Y, his last name.
Yudkowsky.
Yudkowsky?
I don't know.
Destiny talked to him, actually, weirdly. Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality by Yudkowsky. Like, the biggest, like, scam about Nick Land is that people think he's in, like, Deleuze territory, and he's actually in Yudkowsky territory. That's kind of the level he's operating at, certainly these days. Not, like, back when Thirst for Annihilation and, like, some parts of Fang Numina were being written, but, like, certainly, like, by the time The Dark Enlightenment was being written, like, he's a grug. One of the weirdest things reading that book is just how it's, like, it's literally writing at the level of Curtis Yarvin decades ago.
Yeah,
and it's like fair. This is obviously severe brain damage from something.
Based on the premise of just everything in the Enlightenment was stupid, including like egalitarian ideals.
What does it mean when you say he understands hierarchy well?
So the thing is that this.
Also, wait, real quick. This was the video I was talking about. Have you seen or heard of this one before?
Dark Gothic MAGA. This is so beautiful.
Oh, I'm surprised. Okay. This is literally the only engagement I've ever...
I gotta pee. 1 sec. You can keep talking. No, Yudkowsky is not good. He sucks.
Brooks isn't gone. Brooks is sitting here. I didn't know if I was supposed to talk. Sunday never like said, I'm going to go. He doesn't show me. I'm not watching the stream. So it's like, did he go? Because sometimes he goes and he'll put up a fucking stupid video. And then I don't know if chat's still going. I'm just sitting here like hanging. And then it turns out, no, it's just a fucking blank screen. He was expecting me to talk. Is that how this goes? Is that the nightmare I live in now? I just am fucking performing? He said I could. Well, that'll teach me to listen to him once in a while. I didn't fucking hear anything. Took my headphones off for a minute. It must have been perfect. I was like, the challenge for Nick Land, and you can see it really well. My upcoming set of videos is going to be going over this because I'm going to be going on how people fuck up the Stoics. And it's not that they're like misinformed or anything. People can read the same books and come away with different stuff. It's because the underlying framework that they come at is not being transferred. They're not understanding. You're not reading like a tome in the style of, or in the framework of materialism or idealism, people don't take a step back and go, what is the framework? What is the thing that this is looking through? And Nick Land very much came at Deleuze and a whole bunch of other authors from an exceptionally Platonic, Western, Christian, idealized background, and Mark Fisher too. And so the framework that they attack with is problematic beginning to end, and it creates, well, some might like it, that's great, but it creates a lot of fraught problems philosophically with what they state and how they state and the solutions they have that ultimately lead to, I mean, the things we saw.
Can we relocate to the stage in the cathedral?
Why?
Because Imran's in the waiting room, and I'm assuming he wants to talk about this.
Sure, why not?
All right. What do you want?
Gentlemen, or I should say Sunday. Is Brooks coming?
I'm trying. He keeps leaving the waiting room. There we go.
Brooksy baby, it's been a while.
Well, hello, my friend. How are you?
Managing, persisting.
That's good. Good. You're the one who sicked this video on us?
I did. So I got this from a buddy of mine. It's funny. I haven't been on Discord over the last, I mean, I think Sunday knows I was a little bit under the weather, had a hay fever incident. So I couldn't do the Freud Club. And so I came back to Discord actually today. And Joshua, I think Sunday knows Joshua, sent me this person and was like, oh, Destiny's talking to this Landian. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then because, you know, that's kind of confusing. Why would Destiny even care about it? And then when I saw what she looked like, I was like, okay, I understand. I'm pretty sure he has an ulterior motive just because it's Steven, you know?
Oh, obviously. You don't need to say that, though.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, it's interesting. And I looked at a little bit of her content, and I was like, okay, wait, she's kind of interesting. I mean, for example, even down to, like, knowing
You say that she's a Landian, and I'm not sure that's true.
Well, I don't think he said she's a Landian. I think he said that Josh said she's a Landian.
Right. That's what I mean. But I just wanted to like ask because I haven't looked through all the content. Doesn't seem to be the case.
Oh yeah, I should clarify. When I say Landian here, I don't mean like subscribes to all of Land's postulates.
She's just into land. She's
into land.
Yeah.
Into land. Yeah.
Like for the irony, really.
Well, like I think for the interest. I don't think it's like ironic. I think it's just like there are people who are into like Mormons and Ayn Rand and whatnot. They don't buy into any of it, but they find like it just sort of fascinating aesthetically, like sociologically, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And she's a part of the CCCRU, whatever that ends up being. So it's kind of like how I think the proper way of thinking about it. It's like how a biographer really likes their subject, maybe. But yeah, no. I mean, I bequeath this upon you. I didn't know she watched you, Brooks. That was really interesting information. You're saying she?
I didn't know. No, she hung out and chat for us at least one day, maybe a couple times. But one time she went really far out of her way. Like I think she super chatted and said, "Thanks, your videos really helped me do my last piece." Stuff like that.
It's your fault.
Okay.
Hey, her video is. I watched it afterwards. I was like, "Oh no!" And then I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like I'm glad I could help. Because I think it was my stream. Because I did that forever stream where I went over that entire 2.5 hours Nick Land fucking discussion with the Dangerous Maybe, who are like somehow less interesting than just like a slug, and it was just brutal. And I think that's the one that I think helped.
My assumption at the moment is that this is kind of like a business arrangement, and so I'm guessing she wants to spread the reach of like, I guess, like the CCCRU and her own stuff, and she's thinking like, okay,
I don't think she's thinking about spreading the CCCRU. I think she's thinking about like her own channel, which is fair.
Oh yeah, for sure.
CCCRU has like One Dime and J-Rig in it. Like they're already spreading themselves. I don't think that's the priority there. But
in terms of spreading in general, it seems to be the case that I imagine, just projecting for a second, that she's like, okay, well, Steven's going to be the one to do it through if he's showing me attention, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, already this is just going to be really interesting, I think, from that.
I mean, if Destiny like asked Brooks to talk about Deleuze or whatever, I'm sure he would say yes. I wouldn't have any problem with that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I am interested. But
we're on a platform owned by Google.
You know,
right
you
now.
would. Yeah, no, Brooks, you definitely would.
We are doing the identical thing right now.
Really?
As we speak, yes. We are on a platform owned by Google right now. Google, I'm sorry. Like, it's...
No. It's not a moralistic thing. It's a...
Yeah.
Like, involving myself with different audiences is a very, like, again...
You wouldn't be involving yourself with this audience. That's not how this works. You don't involve yourself with the audience. You use that large scale, that concentration on that channel in order to boost your profile to other audiences. This is why Destiny was being all buddy-buddy with Nick Fuentes, because it opened them up to not Nick Fuentes' audience, but to all the people that Nick Fuentes' very large audience interacts with.
All right.
That's why.
Or had with this topic or anything.
Okay, we're continuing.
To it was literally just this video, but I kind of blew about this. I'll park it back here in case. Okay, sorry. Yeah, you said this before that he understands hierarchy really well. What do you mean by that when you say that?
So the thing is that he does understand hierarchy very well, because actually I read even his PhD thesis for more. It's pronounced Warwick. I pronounce it Warwick because I refuse to acknowledge that the UK cannot remember to pronounce the extra W in the word. That's so stupid. So Warwick University. So he actually is very well, like, he's super knowledgeable about hierarchy and how it functions, and like he references multiple people like Schopenhauer, Kant, I don't know, literally any sort of philosopher you can name drop in most of his works, especially Fanged Nomina, which was absolutely fucking awful to read.
Should you just call it Fanged Nomina?
Except for one of them called Delighted to Death.
It's Numina. Numina. It's Numina.
It's a fanged. Boom, boo, doo, boo.
It's Numina.
Numina. Boom, boo, doo, 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 doo. No, is that too? I'm an old person. Gotcha.
I was gonna do it to the time of the beat, but you quit too early.
Which was actually just him talking about how they brutally murdered Christian martyrs.
Okay.
So
wait, I'm asking this in a much more fundamental, retarded way. When we say hierarchy, what do we mean by hierarchy?
Hierarchy
As in, like, he just understands like the organization of social systems where there are some groups of people that are above other groups of people, or what do we mean by that?
Yeah, essentially. So he knows very well like how people are cast within a system, and he understands what it looks like at a very like macro perspective, and also how it functions through time.
Okay.
So in the article that I put in the video, Hyper Racism, he actually references the fact that it's not actually going to look like racism from the like what the left idealizes racism as, or the right idealizes racism as, like the Platonic ideal, and it's going to be more so like what is the most fit to colonize other planets, which is why I'm kind of just like, he's just a sci-fi writer with extra steps.
Gotcha. Did he ever do sci-fi writing at all, or has it always been okay?
He did the CCRU writings with a bunch of other people, but that was the book that was mentioned.
His writing is so bad, dude.
Didn't Guattari try to have aspirations for writing?
I have a copy of For the Love of UIQ, and if you have not read it, you will understand why I say you should not read it. It is really not a thing that you should read.
Wait, I do want to ask a quick question. Land isn't one of those people who are just going to give, like, in a very analytic way, just like formal definitions of things, right? He's not going to say, well, let's establish our terms.
No.
Or something like hierarchy.
Not in that way. But he does play around these things a bit more than like, it's not like, I mean, I would say he does it in the traditional critical, at least his earlier stuff. His later stuff is like fucking.
He writes using language. There.
Mm-hmm.
They are words.
There are words. There are sentences. More often than not, there are coherent sentences. Not as often as you'd like.
True.
Reference like Lemuria and like all the Miskatonic Virtual University and all that.
Okay, wait, but then I didn't understand. When you say CCRU, was this like did people like really start to embody this as like a real belief system, or was it always just supposed to be science fiction?
It's a collection of academics who write.
Honestly, it's not wildly far from what JREG is doing by mocking it. Like, and I mean that sincerely. It's not wildly far than like, aha, it's so clever what I'm doing. That's as far as it ever really went.
Yeah.
It started out as science fiction, and then they also had like a sister organization called Orphan Drift that they did like art collaborations with.
Okay.
But the thing is that Nick Land kind of turned it into a bit of a cult, and including that, they also like they abused a lot of amphetamines so much that they called it like the divine drug or the divine inspiration or whatever.
Okay. And amphetamines are base, but okay, go ahead.
I mean,
Just kidding. Don't abuse them. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't abuse them. But he essentially like made everyone crash out, and then he left. But that was when he went on his own stint of like writing things like Meltdown or like hyper racism, or everything that he wrote after he like despawned and then respawned in Shanghai, because he was like a very much Sino-futurist type. So
okay, yeah. Sino-futurism meaning China's the future of everything or whatever, right?
Yeah. Okay. And he's I don't know if he's onto something with that. I don't think so. But
why did the Dark Enlightenment, what was the connection for this book to ever become popular with, I guess, like Curtis Yarvin and all the Silicon Valley types? Like, how did they get connected through all of this stuff?
So
he didn't. He sought them out.
Actually, he regularly references, and he does this in a lot of his writings. He just pads out most of his fucking work with am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Okay. He pads out most of his fucking
slurs.
work. I promise I won't, even though I have all the passes, I think.
You know what's crazy? We are at a point in time when Destiny content lowers my viewers. Think about that. That's wild. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Okay,
Well, I think it's because it's not Steven at his most salacious at the moment. It looks
this is like intellectual Steven, which is just the least attractive version.
True.
Go ahead.
He references, like, he pads out most of his work with just, like, actually just completely, like, plagiarizing. Although, I guess not actually plagiarizing because he quotes people. But, like, he'll take, like, huge swaths of, like, Curtis Yarvin's blog posts and use
by the way...
she's right here, by the way. Like, I that's exactly what he did. He fucking stole from people and then, like, used that as... It's wild. What a story.
To, like, pad out the Dark Enlightenment. But
The Dark Enlightenment is such a fucking bad book too. There's like garbage in Fang Numina. Some of it's actually pretty interesting and evocative. The Dark Enlightenment onwards, the writing is bad. Like it's like
writing is very bad.
It's like, for lack of a better word.
At Smith Black 5945 super chatted $7. Just joined. Is Destiny trying to woo another alt-writer? Drama.
No, she's not a right-winger. She's just a nerd.
This is Tropical Stuck. Yes,
thank you.
Yes, it is. Hi. But wait, the question again was
how did they connect? So when he's copying stuff from Curtis Yarvin for the Dark Enlightenment,
he's essentially just ripping off his ideas, but then building off of it. And the way that it got traction in the Dark Enlightenment itself was that essentially he there are some points in which he makes like these uncomfortable truths of like perhaps we do too much censorship, which is also something that Mark Fisher hits on, who is also in the CCRU, but he's more of like a leftist, like he's a proto-left accelerationist.
Okay. And then real quick, when you say in the CCRU, this is past the point of it just being a science fiction thing and more into like the culty actual thing.
So they were actually a unit under Warwick University, and then they got kicked out. So afterwards, they were in that space above the body shop where they were doing all those raves and everything.
Gotcha.
But people that came in and out would like, they have multiple articles written on them because they were.
Some of the viewers being forced to watch a better side of Destiny. Nah, this ain't a better side of Destiny. I'm sorry. I'm enjoying Tropical Stuck. She ain't in there because he's got an interest in Nick Land. Okay.
Nope.
Actually, quite influential in the space because apparently you didn't really need that many credentials.
Which, by the way, Tropical Stuck, I would watch other stuff with you in it. I'm just saying, okay, it's not, don't take this the wrong way. This is a commentary on Destiny, not on you.
Oh yeah, I mean,
get, like,
if she were to like join like out of the QC or the Cathedral, like that would actually be very effective.
Apparently she's around there.
Okay.
A PhD in philosophy from there. It was quite a new program. So yeah, no, everyone that was coming out of there was like super punk. Like they had shaved heads, they had like a bunch of colored hair. The pictures are actually really sick. That's why there's a bunch of jungle music playing. But Mark Fisher's also dead. Yeah, he is, unfortunately. R.I.P. King. But yeah, no. Essentially, like, he has a nuanced perspective of, because the people that were in the CCRU were like...
Listen, I'm just going to say this, okay? Destiny could be preparing to debate Norman Finkelstein on Lex Friedman in front of millions of people on the Israel-Palestine genocide. preparing for it like it's the biggest thing in the world. And he will only read Wikipedia for it. Okay? This is not a man who takes time out of his day to seriously investigate and think about really difficult, complex things, which relative to Destiny's level, Nick Land's later work definitely is in that territory.
Shun, Sadie Plant, Mark Fisher, who were all extremely understanding of like where their spaces were in hierarchy.
Okay.
But on that exact point, Nick Land
Can we
decides
see on the top of the video instead of poisoning the well? Fuck you.
to say, oh, I see what you're doing. And in fact, I completely want to double down on the opposite. And I don't want to say that any of these people that I was originally associated with deserve any rights. And
I'll tell you what, if you can tell me the age of the person that Destiny was sending intimate videos to, then you can stay in chat.
You know, even though he does take the stance of like Nazis and neo-Nazis being like stupid, and can I say like white slurs?
Sure. What white slurs?
He calls them crackers.
That's
like,
okay.
a lot.
We're fine. This is a slur-friendly stream. We're good. How did okay, so as he's ripping off from Curtis Yervin, as they started this thing at which university was this? You said Warwick?
Warwick, but he's
and then
already
they
way
spun
past
off,
this point. Yeah.
Way past this point. Why do Silicon Valley types, of all the types of people, why do they get drawn into this, I guess, like, dark enlightenment group thing? Like, what is their...
So my favorite quote for myself about all of this is that all fans of Nick Land have never actually read Nick Land.
Sure, this is true of every single philosophy
so
thing,
true.
literally fucking ever.
The thing is that I read Phenomena on stream. I read it for 28 hours, and like everyone who's actually interacted with it has never read it because it has nothing to do with what like acceleration is. Period. It's just his old works that he's recycled from like.
What the fuck?
He's got like a weird thing in the background.
Oh fuck! It's that one of those. Oh god.
Yeah, he's used in the past to like dox people or something. Apparently, what I've heard.
That's great.
I don't really pay attention anymore. I find
That's
his
like those things are incredibly expensive, you know.
I just find his channel incredibly boring these days. You know, he put up those guns on the back of his wall like the day he started making his initial response stream to my video. Like 2 videos came out pointing out that he had been spreading like intimate videos without consent to a minor online. And his immediate video, he comes out and he talks about how, hey guys, hey, it's really serious, okay? And he's got a wall of rifles behind him all of a sudden. Never change.
University, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
When you say, fuck, I just had a quit. Never mind, keep going. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. When you say, you mentioned before when we spoke about this that his book is like really hard to read in terms of his writing. Does it all read like the CCRU website stuff? Where it's like the topological substrate.
You know what the worst part about this is too? You could just put that in digitally and it would make no noise. Or it'd make the noise a lot more quietly. Like there's no reason for this. there's literally no Kid Not Kin has a nicer looking backdrop and it's entirely digital.
Fake, yeah.
Of the dissolution of the blah blah, like it's just like it reads like a techno babble jargon thing, or is it just like
towards the end it does?
Okay.
And some of them towards the end are literally just him.
And you know what? You could position it so you could actually see it.
In like leet hacker code, but it's actually just leet.
Okay.
And like he puts a bunch of stuff like slurs and talking about like sexual violence and things of that nature. And literally the last part, I wish I brought the book with me. It's just like him doing all these drawings of like the spine and then connecting it to like different theories of like what it relates to with the human spirit and like all this. It's really just like sci-fi shit.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, like the reason why Silicon Valley people like it is because essentially it's just like, oh, we don't have to have any morals for taking down people that are at the bottom. Okay, I'm down for that. Because it's just like, it says, it's essentially like hyper social Darwinism, right?
Doing the work of the gods.
So it's like,
Where they're
oh,
selecting
this is
for the
God's
traits,
work right here. Good for her. Like again, Destiny would never have you and me and people who look like us on to say these things. Like this is good.
Having seen more than I ever wanted to, I respectfully disagree.
Happen to be possessing, like in terms of money and being in computers and tech or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's funny because when you think about it, people who are the most likely to actually be in these positions of power are the most likely to actually be beat up by literally any jock in high school.
Sure.
So it's like, I really would like to see you institute this in reality, but go off, I guess. And also, it's just like, it's really, you're pandering so much to your own intellect as your form of any sort of value to society and to yourself, that it's just like, it feeds directly into that sort of need of like that one person. It's very Nietzschean in that sense, to like have some sort of, your worth is based almost exclusively on your intellect. And everyone else deserves to like, everyone else deserves to be poor because you're just the special one.
Do you think a lot of this bleeds into our actual political system through, like Vance, I guess, was the teal pick, or are there any other people in the administration, or is this just kind of like fringe Silicon Valley thoughts in ways that don't manifest politically?
No, I would say like a lot of the libertarian streak is especially as it relates to like the Vance types. I can't name them off the top of my head, but essentially,
I don't think Vance has ever demonstrated he reads Nick Land. Vance is a fan of Moldbug. Nick Land's hard, relatively speaking.
I also want to say that like the illusion here is that like, of course, none of these Silicon Valley types are actually Nietzschean, right? They're not like engaging
No. But it's like they're Nietzschean in the way that like Ultron from Avengers 2 is Nietzschean. It's like it evokes like the popular imaginary about what Nietzsche is, which is very wrong. That what she just described is exactly the kind of thing that Nietzsche critiques in the Genealogy of Morals. It's not it's not Nietzsche. It's what Nietzsche is attacking. It's what Nietzsche is mocking. Yeah,
I totally agree.
But I think I suspect she gets that. I think that's what she's getting at, though, is when people say like Nietzschean, quote unquote, in this particular key, I think what they're saying is like, this is in that weird area of play, right? This is playing with the same stuff, sort of. It's in that sort of area. I'm not gonna like assert that she like understands what she's talking about vis-a-vis Nietzsche, apropos of nothing, but like I don't see a problem with saying that in that way.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think my comment is a little bit more like oblique.
Okay.
Because I think well, because it seems to me that they really do consider themselves as Nietzschean figures.
Oh yeah.
Not realizing
they do.
Yeah,
they do.
because they're dumb.
Yeah, they're very dumb. It's like, did you see Andreessen, Mark Andreessen in the fucking, was it yesterday? Someone took a clip. It's in a podcast where someone asked him, like, what you think about blah, and he just basically says out loud, I should find the clip, but I'm pretty sure I'm accurate when I say, oh, I never think about the impact of what I do. I can't.
Well, I mean, yeah.
No, it's like the most sociopathic thing I've ever heard. I need to find this because this was like...
Okay. You find that, we're going to press on. By the way, Suresh, start up your stream because we're going to read into you in like 30 minutes.
Essentially, like, they want to pander to this ideal because it, one, is also where, because like, let's say, I remember looking at the stats for like last election. It was like what were the biggest super PACs? It was like the first industry was oil,
okay,
and then the second one was crypto. So it's like, obviously the people who have the money to fund these things, even though they actually want to take no time to learn about like the liberal arts of it all or read any of these sort of things, like even if it's just as short as like 28 pages in like the fucking Communist Manifesto, which isn't even that, like, I'm not a communist, I can say that much, but like I can read it, you know, it's not hard, and then I can understand the principles from there, even though it's like more expanded upon in other works. But like, it's just these people will not take the time to fully
It's not really actually
understand what it is that they're actually like going for, and it's just deeply hilarious. And I think it's best expressed in like Tucker Carlson's podcast, although he plays into it a little bit. But yeah, no, the Dark Enlightenment is essentially just like, I think that I am better because I have a higher IQ probably, and I went to school in Western society, and therefore I'm better than you, and everyone who is poor should stay poor, and everyone who's stupid should stay stupid. And I don't really believe in egalitarian ideals, and I don't really want wealth to be redistributed in any sense of the word.
Oh, I'm sorry, wrong button.
There's a meme on Twitter that gets posted sometimes that I think is funny, where a guy will say something about Nietzsche, and then a guy will respond and he'll say like, you're not even taking this out, or you don't even understand what you're saying, like, have you even read Nietzsche? And the guy's like, no, I haven't. Have you? And the guy's like, no, I haven't. And I feel like for a lot of one of my biggest complaints about people that do this type of like ideology shopping are non-denominational Christians. So I grew up as Catholic, which is based of all the Christian religions. I'm very atheist now, but if you have a particular religion, if you're Baptist or evangelical, whatever, that's fine. But sometimes I get very irritated by like non-denominational Christians, because I feel like oftentimes what they're doing is they want to be able to absorb a lot of the like normative loading and value from their Christian text. So being able to say they have good morals and they're better than other people and they can dictate lifestyles to other people, but they don't know any—
By the way, Sunday Destiny said he has read Rawls. Make sure he spelt that right.
Of the underlying theology, and they don't know any rules beyond, like if you were to train an LLM on politicians and tech bros and people on podcasts talking about religion, and you were to ask the LLM to put together, what do you think the Bible is based on what they say about it? It would just be like, it's Jesus like saying that OnlyFans whores are going to hell, that slavery is maybe okay, that women shouldn't have the ability to vote, and that men are based and should spend all of their time hunting. It's just like the dumbest, it's like the most characterized version of Christianity ever, right? Like the party of Christianity holds like people like Andrew Tate up as their role models, and it doesn't make any sense. Or even Donald Trump, who is like divorced 3 times, like bangs porn stars or whatever else.
Isn't it funny because like Andrew Tate was literally shilling Islam for a hot minute there?
Yeah, because for a while I think Christians were jealous because the Muslim people. I used to argue this like 10 years ago, where I'm like, you guys argue for such this weird backward society.
Oh shoot, I am so sorry. I
keep
keep hitting the wrong button. I apologize.
Crazy Sharia law stuff that you guys criticize all the time, and then 10 years later they kind of got there.
By the way,
thank you.
If you just want to take a moment,
where they were like,
yeah, can we
like
see
Islam
that?
is like cool and based, and Christianity.
Yeah, honestly, this is so fucking boring at this point. I agree.
Well, I enjoy hearing someone shit on Dickland. I like this. So just unmute it though.
Oh yeah.
You don't have any levels of introspection.
Yes, 0, as little as possible.
Why?
I am an egg.
Move forward. Go. Yeah, I don't know. I found people who dwell in the past get stuck in the past. It's a real problem, and it's a problem at work, and it's a problem at home.
So I've read obviously 400, and I think now 10 biographies of history-based entrepreneurs,
Yep.
and that was one of the most surprising things. Like, what's the most surprising thing that you've learned from this? So like, oh, they have little or 0 introspection.
Yep.
Like Sam Walton didn't wake up thinking about his internal self. He just woke up. He's like, I like building Walmart. I'm going to keep building Walmart. I'm going to make more Walmarts, and just kept doing it over and over again.
And you probably know, if you go back before 100 years ago, it never would have occurred to anybody to be introspective. Like it's the whole idea of, I mean, just all of the modern conceptions around introspection and therapy and all the things that kind of result from that are, kind of a manufactured.
Okay, pause. So if you actually want a history on the development of like the inner life and how that relates to Christianity, I highly recommend Foucault on this, right? And this notion of exomologesis and all this kind of stuff.
Foucault is actually very solid.
There's actually a very detailed history on this, and it's way older than 400 years ago.
I like it. See, here's the thing. He's obviously not a very bright person, but that he's so proud of having no like self-awareness is to me so great. Like these are the people who run our country. They're so fucking mask off at this point. It's like, hey, they don't care about anything they've ever done. Here's him saying it. And here's the interview going, yeah, it's really crazy. All the people who've ever been entrepreneurs that I've ever talked about and read, they're all sociopaths too. That's weird. And he's like, yeah, isn't it weird? And they're like proud of it.
And I think, actually, Brooks, I mean, well, for one comment is that, of course, you don't have to get stuck in the past because the past will get stuck on you, frankly. But it's also interesting because this is the logic of capital. Like, you can just do boilerplate marks on this. It's like, of course, you don't have to like introspect if you just become the rational miser of capital. You can just become like the limb, and it's fine.
More or less. I don't have a way to fucking fight that.
I'm just trying to understand the geometry of the top of his skull here. Like, what is that? He's got like an additional bump at the top. You see that? He's got a forehead, but then it goes up again.
He is on his way to a cone head. Like he straight up is on his way to a cone head.
I think when he was young, he got cradled in the bicep a little bit too much.
Say more about that.
Great men of history didn't sit around doing this stuff at any prior point, right? It's all a new construct. It was so first Western civilization had to kind of invent the.
I'm sorry. You're sitting there with that hairstyle and that sweater, and you're talking about great men of history.
concept of the individual, right, which was like a new concept, several hundred years ago. And then, for a long time, it was all right. The individual runs, right, and like does all these things and builds things and builds empires and builds companies and builds
great men. We only started realizing existed a few hundred years ago.
I love how he sniffs in between every single sentence.
Whammy, kind of showed up. From Europe, a lot of it from Vienna, 1910s, 1920s, Freud, and all that entire movement, and kind of turned all that inward and basically said, okay, now we need to basically second guess the individual. We need to criticize the individual. The individual needs to self-criticize, right? The individual needs to feel guilt. Needs to look backwards. Needs to dwell.
That's what Freud's about. The individual needs to feel guilt and look backward. Sorry, go on.
It's actually insane because Freud is trying to postulate what he calls unapprehended willing. Right, that's the whole point of the unconscious, and he literally knows this is such a controversial thing because he knows that the society that he's in has already kind of sedimented itself in judging people based upon every act they do being a conscious one. So it's quite literally the opposite. It's not that Freud is like we just need to self-interrogate, but that it is a kind of self-interrogation, but it's one in which we have to.
It's actually not. It's not a self-interrogation. It's literally about an analyst and analyst relationship. It is part of it. That's why he built psychotherapeutic practice. Like it's the opposite of an introspection. And it's so, the ignorance he spouts is so stunning. And again, if you don't know, people apparently don't know who Andreessen is, Andreessen Horowitz of A16Z, of the guy who basically made crypto a thing. Like we don't realize that.
Yeah. Well, I do. Sorry. When I say self-interrogation, I don't mean like auto.
No, I know you mean. I know what you mean. I know. I'm just making sure for everyone. Just
okay. Yeah.
Being very specific.
By the way, this ain't the camera angle. He is a literal cone head.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know, right?
That's an unspeakable physiognomy.
Don't make this man angry. He can punch like a solid hole through your chest with his forehead.
Have you seen? Did you grow up watching? This might be too recent for you. Do you know Fairly Odd? What is it? Fairly Odd Parents?
Get the fuck out.
My kids love Fairly Odd Parents.
Yes, I watched Fairly Odd Parents as a kid, Imran.
I did not.
The cone-headed pixies with like the glasses?
Yes.
Oh,
do you know that's a play on the Coneheads, which is a sketch from Silent Live?
See, now you're trekking me back too far.
There was a movie in the 90s.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm basically in the same age bracket as the person who's criticizing Lander.
Still, one of the great physical jokes of all time is the daughter, who's a conehead, does a high dive and barely disturbs the water when she hits. I forever will be just a funny moment.
Oh, incredible! Wait, so she just goes through like a pin,
yeah, just like nothing. Like the water just goes poop. Just great sound effect, really well done.
I mean, I do want to say though, I wonder how like this kind of I don't even know. I guess just like lack of hindsight or lack of awareness. I wonder how this plugs in with because I'm sure that he's also probably in conversation like these what are they called? The long-term, what is it? Long-term utilitarian types. What do you call those people? Their whole thing is like what is more beneficial for humanity like thousands of years later. You know what I'm talking about? This movement. They're like kind of strange. Effective altruism. Is that what they're called?
That's not effective altruism. It's not effective altruism. Effective altruism is just about like having a holistic view of the positive that you're doing besides like initial sort of feel good things. So they sometimes it provides a great ready-made excuse for why people don't support active efforts to help humans who are living now, because they can intellectualize it and pretend like, oh no, we're investing in the future, so it all ends up going to fucking AI and transhumanist morons and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I imagine sociologically speaking, looking at the actual composition of a lot of people that push that, it seems like to be in the same milieu roughly.
So Andreessen, just to be very clear, he's this fucked up. He doesn't like effective altruism, if I remember right, because it's too ambitious.
Wow.
He's the guy who wrote it was a big blog post about how AI will save the world. I'm 99% sure that's actually the title, but it's also what it's about. He's a fucking nut. Genuinely. He talks about playing God with societies because he has enough power to.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a good thing.
Well, can I ask you a question?
What is this V on his head here? What?
Oh yeah, the Techno-Optimist Manifesto. Jesus Christ. There's so much he did that is like, he's a fucking whack job.
Yeah. Well, it seems like this like extropianist thing never really ended. It seems like ever since it became a thing in the 80s and the 90s, it just kind of became concentrated in this. But I have to ask you. Well, I want to ask you this, because is it the case then? Because it seems like putatively, like if you were to ask someone like this, they try to displace the responsibility. At least when what they would tell you is something like AI is going to be doing like the saving or the heavy lifting or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Is this like a cover for how they really view themselves as they themselves being the movers and shakers, the ones who determine things? Or do you think they actually truly believe that AI is going to be the overlord, and they're going to be subjects of AI, et cetera?
I don't usually go as far as to say what their true beliefs are, because I don't know how relevant it ultimately is. I think they are very much incentivized to whatever keeps them in power and positions of power, and they go to extraordinary lengths for that. So do they believe in AI? No, I actually don't think they necessarily believe in AI. They've all been open about that we're reaching limitations. There's diminishing, like they speak the right terms around it, but they're also bullshitters, because that's their entire job in VC is bullshitting. That's their entire fucking job. And so when he's like sitting there and he's like, oh, I'm going to tell all these people that like our investments are doing great, you have to go back and just watch him use almost identical language with all of his crypto, purchases and all these massive things that like are worth pennies now, but he got a lot of people to buy in so they could get out. And that is the same language they're using now, because now they're at that stage. AI has kind of shown that it's a fucking albatross around the neck of tech. So they need people to come in and, they're really trying to IPO a lot of these things. So that way public people can basically shoulder that burden.
All right, can we finish this?
They like,
no,
basically second guess the individual. We need to criticize the individual. The individual needs to self-criticize, right? The individual needs to feel guilt, needs to look backwards, needs to, dwell on the past.
Sonny, do you have a set of the Wheel of Time? No, I have a paperback of The Eye of the World. Or Spine of the World? Eye of the World? I think it's The Eye of the World.
It never resonated with me.
Wow, I hate that guy.
He's terrible.
He's terrible.
He's like gay and weak. And
exactly. Well put, Stephen. See? Broken clocks.
When you're Muslim, you can, kill apostates and you can fight for your religion. But when you're Christian, you just have to accept trans people into your congregation. Yeah, and it was this like very cringe, reductive view of both religions and how, and then people online like Sneeko and Andrew Tate like wanted to be Muslims because they thought they were so based. Even though all of them, like Andrew Tate was a Muslim, I guess, for a while. I don't know if he still is.
I thought they were shielded by the Saudi government, Chusa.
I don't know if they ever had any official shilling or anything like that.
That was some rumor that I heard, so maybe, I never actually checked in on that.
But I mean, like, they still owned, like, their OnlyFans, like, girls, which is very not okay. They still like gambling and drinking.
This set has no cohesion whatsoever. It's just random garbage. Like, pick one of these things. One of these things.
Like, all these things that are super haram and everything, and they never really followed any of it. So, yeah, it's just, like, super cringe.
I mean, in my fake ad, I literally said...
nice mug, though.
What was it again? It was like, you can also learn about all your favorite Abrahamic religions, listening to your favorite pundits speaking about it at 2 times speed, despite never actually having read the text.
Engaging with any of the text ever, yeah. It's very, very, very cringe and very annoying, because you get people who are giving you what sound like abstracted summaries of texts that are just giving you quotes from other people that probably also haven't read any of it.
Yeah.
And,
this is fair.
Okay, wait. So who is this guy? Not Tucker Carlson, this guy. Yeah. So wait. Real quick, hold on, because somebody linked the chat. Have you heard of this guy? Somebody said you should read.
The Nazi philosopher behind post-liberal right.
Phil Magnus. It's just a Substack article. I don't know if he's like a guy.
Carl Schmitt. Yeah, I've heard of Carl Schmitt.
No, this guy.
Phil Magnus? Oh.
No. Okay. Never mind. Way to go, Chatter. Idiot. Okay, forget all of that.
Sorry, Chatter.
On that note, sorry, Chatters, I'm sending you to a cooking channel. They're very good. They are a theory head from my Discord server.
Oh, it's and mine and they're Suresh.
They're from my Discord server. They came to you.
They're from your Discord server. No, they're great. They're great.
Yeah, and they're mine.
Oh, I do want to say real quick, if people want to react to this in the Cathedral, I'll probably be in the PC finishing this up. What's the timestamp on this, Sunday?
Go away. Good night.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Okay.